with a knife and hit with a blunt object on the head on June 18th, 2023, the same day he was reported missing. Nakuru DCI boss Donata Otieno says that events that culminated to this day include a report by the main suspect in the murder probe, that is Julius Mogoi, who said he dumped the body in the river. Mogoi led the DCI officers to the crime scene on Tuesday this week.
2 switches are interfered with upstairs, but we are still investigating. So I cannot tell whether it was before or during the period, because the family members, close family members, were not around during the period.
And in the meantime, the main suspects, Mogoi and Muga, are in police custody and will be detained for 21 days after the police asked the court for more time to conclude their investigation.
Walivyokuja ndio tulikuja na kitengo cha DCI mahali ambapo mshukiwa huyu Julius Mogoi alisema kuwa alitupa msee kwa huu mto.
Osinda's body lies at Migori Level 4 Hospital awaiting a post-mortem. And brace yourself for affected health services, because health workers in public hospitals have threatened to go on strike on July 14th following the government's failure to implement their demands. Led by their leaders, the workers say that it's about time the government starts attending to their concerns.
We are here to reiterate that the strike is on and to tell our members that they should prepare, as well as Kenyans, that from the 14th day of July, there will be no nurses, no clinic officers, no nutritionists, no pharmaceutical technologists, no public health officers, no laboratory officers in any of the public facilities across the country.
A former commissioner with the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has fled the country. Irene Masit, who is among the 4 commissioners who challenged the election of William Ruto as president, quietly left the country on Tuesday over what sources described as an ending and chilling death threats. Masit becomes the second high-profile IBC official to flee the country in less than 6 years after Roslyn Akombe. Akombe secretly left the country a week to the repeat of the 2017 presidential election following what she said were threats to her life, which she couldn't take lightly after the brutal murder of IT manager Chris Musando. Maset, who was fired from the helm of the IBC by a tribunal, is said to have been under a lot of pressure from people known to her to apologize for having opposed Ruto's election. Corruption convicts may run for office and even get appointed as public officers if a bill proposed by Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma gets a stamp of approval from the August House. Kaluma is seeking to water down the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act of 2003 by deleting Section 64 of Chapter 6 of the Constitution, which bars corruption and economic crimes convicts from holding public office. The MP argues that a convicted person will have already served the punishment and the 10-year ban, which is unfair. This event comes as Kaluma's proposal has already received criticism from EFCC. The Commission is concerned with the proposal as it may see state or public officers who've been convicted for corruption or economic crimes appointed back to offices they held before they are convicted. And in the international scene, federal prosecutors have arrested 3 investors on insider trading charges related to a deal to take former President Donald Trump's media business public. According to the indictment, the 3 individuals together made more than $22 million, around 3.1 billion shillings in illegal profits by purchasing shares in Digital World Acquisition Corporation after secretly learning about the blank check firm's plan to buy Trump Media and Technology Group. There is, however, no allegation that Trump had any involvement at all in the alleged insider trading. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Welcome to Friday, and it's looking like it might be a bit busy as you're leaving the city today, and that's on Waiyaki Way and also on the Thika Superhighway, but we're going to keep an eye and see what that opens up to be as we get closer to 7 o'clock. There's a busy beehive of activity happening on North Airport Road as you're going out towards Embakasi and then towards the Eastern Bypass. We're likely to see that continue as you go through the morning. Coming off the Thika Superhighway, not just yet, looks all right, at least for now. Again, an eye will be kept on this. How is your Friday turning out to be? Let's know where you might be stuck this morning or where you find a good route to use. Let us know. Let's talk on Spice FM, KE on Twitter.
Spice FM, Malindi. This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned
and it's
journalist.
Friday, and it's end month, and it's all those things. It's end of the financial year. Everything combined. 30th of June 2023, end of the first half of 2023, on to the final part of the year. All the things combined. City, how you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Naona ile kofia ile.
Ile kutoka kule bwana. Yes.
So this one is what? It's from which country now?
Same place.
Same which place?
Papua New Guinea.
This is Papuanian.
Yes, it's Papua New Guinean.
Allah.
Yes.
The other one was for Mzee, and the Mzee was called what? Remember the name for the Mzee?
What was his name?
What was whose name?
What's the title for Mzee?
Okoh.
Yeah.
Okoh kwenu.
Nani?
Lakini umeiteremsha sana hii kofia. I think.
Apo.
Bana.
You're stopping us from seeing a handsome face. Why are you doing like that? Hey, City.
Trying to cover your eyes. Ni baridi na kusumbua. Where are your gloves, by the way?
You said you were going to wear them today. You said you left them on the table. See, we listen.
I actually decided that I was going to put them next to my flasks so I don't forget. I forgot the flask and the gloves.
Oh. Now today, how are you going to operate?
How are we going to survive?
See, I've got I took a cup.
Ednah, so you can organize a flask for City. City can't survive without opening a flask.
I may look like I haven't heard what has been said, but I have heard every syllable.
Really?
Yes, I have heard. And not only have I heard what is being said, I've even heard the meaning.
You even pictured yourself actually surviving 4 hours without touching the flask and opening.
I am trying to see how that's going to work out.
It's going to be a tough one. No, Ednah will sort you out.
Ednah's like that.
Ednah is like that. Ednah can sort you out.
Ednah helps people.
Yes.
You can be among the helped.
Yeah. And you, Ndu?
And me?
Yes.
I'm fine. Leo nimevaa sweater.
Leo umevaa kasweta? Kabaridi kama nini? Kama it's for what?
It's for warmth.
It's for warmth. Umevaa tu sweater.
City, did you hear what Eric said?
Very clearly. I heard him very clearly. He spoke with the intentions of being heard. So I heard him.
So you heard.
Okay.
Yes. Haya.
Na wewe uko sawa?
Mimi niko sawa pia.
Kabisa.
Nashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu Jalali Maulana Muumba wa mbingu na nchi.
How do you know when, sorry, I have a quick question. You know, it's like my Kiswahili.
How do you say, I have a quick question.
How do you know when to say kule or uko or hapo or pale?
That's very easy. It's context.
Yeah.
Explain.
Wewe uko pale. You are there.
Pale is when you're speaking of a person.
No, even an inanimate object. Sahani iko pale.
Pale is there.
Place. Yes. Geographical location. That place over there. Yes.
Uko?
Where you are.
Oh, for good grief.
Where are you? Where uko api?
Niko huko. Did I say Niko huko?
You say Niko.
Why can't I say Niko pale?
You can.
Oh, so they're interchangeable.
Yes, but then when you say Niko pale, no one will understand where you are. Pale is where. You would say Niko hapa. Because
Kwenda huko.
Then you say Niko hapa. Naenda.
Kwenda huko.
It means go away, as in.
Huko is indefinite.
There's a language.
Could be anywhere.
It's indefinite.
Every
huko,
dialect and language has that phrase. Go away, kwenda. It doesn't mean physically remove yourself or walk swiftly in a certain different direction. It means get lost. And it doesn't mean do not be found.
Go, Joe.
Yes, now see, in your language.
Okay.
Ask her to say what he says in that language he speaks from time to time.
How do you say it?
I have no idea.
The Okoh. Yes, in case he forgot, just so I can remind him.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Huko, then hapa, pale. Okay.
Then just in case you still have difficulties and you want to understand it, you can add one word.
No, wait. No, I'm good.
You sure? You don't want me to tell you that word?
No, you confuse me completely. Huko, huku, pale, hapa.
Si.
Okay. Huko ama huko hapa pale.
Watch I tell you what we'll be discussing hapa leo. Hapa kule. At 7 a.m., we talk about influencing grassroots women, marginalized and youth voices in public finance management. We'll be joined by two people from Groots Kenya. This is Cecilia Mutomborogo, who is the Groots Kenya budget champion in Laikipia, and Doris Munyinge, who is a program officer at Groots Kenya. They'll be joining us at 7 a.m. At 8 o'clock, we will be talking about devolution. So today, the Council of Governors, chaired by Governor Anne Waiguru, will be delivering the State of Devolution address. And ahead of that, we'll be joined here by His Excellency FCPA Fernandez Barasa, who is the Governor of Kakamega County and the Chair of the Council of Governors Finance, Planning and Economic Affairs Committee. He comes in at 8 a.m. to track the devolution in the country, in the counties, and the progress of that. At 9 o'clock, we talk about eye problems, when to seek medication and when to seek treatment, when to see specialists. Dr. Kahaki Kimani is a senior lecturer, Department of Ophthalmology at the University of Nairobi, and Professor Dunera Ilako is an ophthalmologist, surgeon, and incumbent CEO, Eagle Eye Laser Center. They join us at 9 a.m. for that Health Friday conversation. Mambo iko sawa. We are live streaming the show on YouTube and Facebook. If you're online, get online and tell us where you're tuned in from. We will be doing our usual salams shortly after Ndu tells us about the weather forecast. Hapa, huko, kule.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever.
In Nairobi this morning, going to highs of 20 and lows of 13. It's partly cloudy at 14 in Nakuru, highs of 24. And Nyeri will see highs of 20 and lows of 13 through a partly cloudy Friday. It's partly cloudy at 14 in Eldoret, highs of 22 and lows of 12. At 23, Mombasa is cloudy, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 28 as well in a cloudy Malindi at 25. 19 degrees and cloudy in Kisumu, highs of 28, and 26 will be the high in a cloudy Kakamega at 17. Looking into Kampala, it's partly cloudy at 19, highs of 26, and 29 will be the high in Dar es Salaam, where it's mostly clear at 22. It's 4 degrees and clear in Johannesburg, highs of 15, and Lagos will see highs of 30. It's partly cloudy at 25, 22 and partly cloudy in Kinshasa, highs of 30 today. Friday afternoon is looking at 31 degrees and sunny in Beijing, highs of 39 and lows of 25. Mostly cloudy at 17 in Paris, highs of 24. And over into London, it's mostly cloudy at 16, highs of 19. Clear conditions in New York Thursday night at 22. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 19.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Oh, yeah.
94.4 Spice FM.
Moyo says good morning. He's tuned in from Kampala Road, Nikondani mpaka mwisho. Good morning to you, good sir. Shuaibu Jalo is tuned in from Freetown in Sierra Leone and says greetings from Shuaibu Jalo. We see you. Good morning. Mombasa is tuned in. Robert says. Irene says good morning. Tuned in from Nanyuki. That's where I want to go. And Elijah says good morning. Elijah Kimani Wakadara is saying good morning. Can't wait. Can't wait for what? We are here, Mama. We're here. Okay, Stephen Kehunyo says good morning. No sound. No sound where? Can't hear us? Chris.
Allah.
Why? Ednah, can you hear us? Beautiful. Chris Mora says good morning. Tuned in from, says good morning, Wakenya. Okay. Good morning, trio from UAE. We're still on, good morning. We're still on the 4 days Eid holiday.
Wow.
I'm telling you. Nick Okumu says bonjour à tous, j'espère que vous allez bien. Ouais, très bien, monsieur. Soulful says Juma Karim locked in from Abu Dhabi. Good morning, Spices. You guys are just amazing. Imagine City, amazing. Eric, amazing.
Just amazing.
Right. Tuned in from Siaya City. Okay, Agnes is asking, Ndu, which lipstick brand do you use? Always on fleek. I'll tell you.
Hashtag lipstick buy, hashtag hair buy, hashtag
see me in the back.
Well,
excuse me. City, kofia imeweza. Agnes Akinyi ndio amesema hivyo.
Thank you.
Always looking forward to learning something new. Indeed, karibu sana. Moses Nderito says Uko versus Uko. Now, why are you bringing these complications? Now,
there's Huko versus Uko.
Uko
wapi?
Then you said Niko Huko.
Huko nitokako. Kule niendako.
Hapa
nilipo.
First half of 2023 is gone. Can you imagine? We were just saying Happy New Year, drinks in the air, things like that. Kissing under the mistletoe, and here we are. It is June 30th. Gone. Welcome to the second half, spiced by 1.5 house levy and 2.7 NHIF deduction. Okay. CT's appearance reminded me of my old Friday songs by Yvonne Shaka Shaka on Kompoti. CT's Wacha Kulenga. Carol Nyambura says good morning to... where did they go? They've all gone very far. Carol Nyambura says, good morning. Interesting show. Nawapenda sana. Good morning. Karibu sana. Keep up the good job. Asante. Kim Wandia is tuning from Texas. Good morning from Kubu, Meru. Probably, he says, Josegi, he says, he whose trousers are made of dry grass should not warm himself by the fire. All right. Toti Bishop, I see you. Good morning to you. Tora Simba says, good morning, tuning from Gong Forest. Inside the forest. Ndani. Good morning, guys. That's Innocent. John Gashuki. Hi from Nanyuki, Laikipia. That's where I'm going next. Okay. Someone says, Tuko area kama bacteria. Is that a good thing? Really?
It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. Not
Bacteria
all bacteria
is always
is bad.
present.
Precisely.
Exactly. Okay.
And it's reality.
What, bacteria?
Bacteria eco area.
Homa Bay, KMTC. That's where Moses Arinda is this morning and says tune in and says Karibu. And we say Karibu rather. Tune in from Doha. Tune in from Las Colinas in Texas. Houston also in Texas. And other guys locked in from Ongata Rongai. Everybody is here this morning. Karibuni sana, sana, sana.
City.
Yes, please.
Final day in
Chad. Only when a tree is big and strong can you tether a cow to it.
Again, I think it's a repeat of a proverb. Same Chad, maybe.
Yes.
Only when a tree is big and strong
Yes.
can you tether
Yes.
a cow or a goat.
Cow. But if it's repeat, let me give you another.
No.
Where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm. There are many.
Where two rivers meet,
The waters
are never calm.
That's very true, actually. But for the cow, I think it's a thing of the mind. Because I saw a cow tethered to a little sprig of a thing, and it wouldn't go. It would only go so far.
Some of those little sprig of a thing are really muscular. The cow can't pull it away. The cow can't eat it. They are chosen deliberately.
Sure, but I think it does get to a point where it's psychological. The cow just knows, okay, I've been tied to this thing. I'm not.
It's the rope that does the
rope,
thing.
yes.
It's not where the rope is tethered to.
Yeah.
Or tied to. Really. I think
You know, sometimes it'll just innocently pull away and then realize I'm free.
Yeah.
I can actually pull.
I can actually pull this thing.
No, what was in my mind, I was thinking how it is. If you ever heard the cows actually know you, know your voice. Which makes me understand. Cows understand many languages. You speak to them in my mother tongue, they understand. You speak in English, they understand. So is it the intonation? Or because it's like they obey a command.
But it is over time. It must have been repeated severally.
Well,
you're not going to go to a cow today and say "Kuja" today, and it comes.
No.
Yeah.
No, every morning you take them out
Exactly.
to pasture.
Yeah.
And then you also learn.
And you speak one language.
Yes, and you also learn. Because all cows, when I was growing up, had names, so you knew. This cow is called this one.
Matilda.
Yes, all.
And they know their name.
Actually, they do. And once there's a headmaster like this, the bull, once you get that guy to sort of like cooperate and listens to you, all the other cows just fall in line.
Bas.
It's something fascinating, though.
It's like my mum and her chickens.
They follow her around.
No, so like when it's time for them to go inside later, she just opens the door and says, "Inside." It's unbelievable to watch.
They just.
And her dogs. My mum has and her dogs. They just stand outside there, and she says, "Go."
That's
They go.
it.
They just hear that one word. Huge things.
Yeah, they don't have you people confusing them.
It's just their voice.
True, man. It's true. Okay, let's look at the headlines.
All right, let's look at the headlines. On the front page of the Standard this morning, judges demand 1.2 billion shillings from Ruto for Uhuru's sins. Wow, okay. That's an interesting one, is it not? Former President Kenyatta's failure to appoint judges nominated by the Judicial Service Commission in August 2019 has come to haunt Kenyans. The 22 judges now want President William Ruto's administration to compensate them for being kept in the cold for over 20 months by the Jubilee regime. So give us money, essentially, what they're saying. Tracing last hours of the slain former Treasury official. That's also on the in the Standard on page 4 today. Ryla setback as IEBC panel says, we are working. So when you guys decide that you're coming to the table, you'll find us on the way, essentially is what they're saying. Pain at the pump. Today, we will know what the prices of fuel will look like with the 8% increase on VAT. Okay? We'll know what that looks like today. Let's look at the nation. Senior high schools in race against time. The country's preparedness to implement senior secondary school. Now, wait a minute. Junior secondary school is already a nightmare. We've not even figured that out properly. Senior secondary school is in the offing. And in 2.5 years, it dominated debate at the Kenya Secondary Schools Heads Association annual conference in Mombasa yesterday, with major concerns being raised about inadequate infrastructure and teacher training to handle the first cohort of CBC curriculum learners, as well as funding and the students' choice of pathways. So remember, that's what it's going to be. Into senior secondary, you go into pathways, whether this be the science route, the arts route, or anything else. And people are saying, man, are we ready for this thing? So we'll look into details of that story. How Kenyans are beating tough times is also something that's carried there. There's also a health alert here today, being Healthy Friday. Interesting to look into that. Sweetener used in soft drinks and chewing gum causes cancer. Okay, we'll look at this report. It's a story that's come from Reuters news agency, and we'll look into that. Osindo's body lay in mortuary as family made frantic search. The badly decomposed body of former Treasury employee Fred Tom Mokaya Osinde lay at the Migori Referral Hospital mortuary unidentified for a week, and his family frantically searched for him, even as we heard. All right, medical workers, nurses, clinicians, clinical officers have issued a strike notice, and they said if you do not do 1, 2, 3 come the 14th of July, we shall do 4, 5, 6. All right, the NPSC, that is the National Police Service Commission, will not cede its unconstitutional power to recruit police officers to the Inspector General of Police and the Interior Ministry, a parliamentary committee was told yesterday. So if you guys are thinking we're going to do that, forget it. We're not doing it. Let's go. Mano el mano. Sawa.
Hiya. Let me tell you about the Business Daily. I will start with the small headlines before I come to this one. De La Rue spends 2.7 billion shillings to lay off staff as it exits Kenya. Banknote printer De La Rue has spent 2.7 billion shillings to lay off staff, put lawyers and pay lawyers and write off its assets as it closes down operations at its Nairobi unit due to low currency and checks printing business. The firm, which has been printing notes for Kenya through a local joint venture that's 40% owned by the Kenya government, says in the latest trading update that it has now fully closed its note printing line and is at the tail end of shutting down the check business. The company operating in Kenya as De La Rue Kenya EPZ Limited had about 300 employees. It says in the trading update that it has used 977 million shillings on redundancy charges, 870 million to write off property, plant and equipment, and 355 million to impair. Where? Higher. So who's printing our... Because
what are we going to do?
Banks have been reorganizing and they have gotten somebody to print for them checkbooks. Who's printing cash for Central Bank and minting?
That one. Kariobangi Light Industries.
Very good. Very good. Kenya benchmarks Egypt's 11% in Eurobond buyback. The Treasury hopes to buy back Eurobond coupons at 11% or below to refinance the thing that is maturing in June next year. Other headline, NSE investors fight for Williamson Kapchorua shares on higher dividends, and middle class drop premium brands as inflation stings. Kenya's upper middle and high income households are increasingly dropping premium brands across various products from their shopping baskets to cope with maisha hii ya Kenya. Now, big headline in the Business Daily today. Ruto, Gachagua, MPs set for a 14% pay rise in SRC review. State officers, including the president, his deputy, the cabinet secretaries, and members of parliament, are set for a 14% pay rise on average over the next 2 years, starting next month, in a review proposed by the SRC to cushion them against the rising cost of living.
Time out. Time out.
We shall look at that story in detail.
Please. God in heaven.
I have the Nairobian.
Oh, do you? And what does it say?
Many headlines in Nairobian today. Big one. There was WRC Safari Rally taking place in Naivasha over the weekend.
What's Okoh Naivasha?
Okoh Naivasha. Okoh? Niko huku Naivasha. Mimi nakuja huko. How rally party turned into wild sex orgies. That's what they say. And they have stories here of what was happening and things that were reported by the people who reported to them. They also have another story of a county assembly clerk who's denied sexual harassment allegations at work. They have another story there's another headline in here of ASK show, So, because 3 years since COVID, ASK has not held the annual agricultural shows.
Yeah.
So now people have taken those grounds. Despite key exhibitors pulling out due to harsh economic times, it was able to bring on board 83 exhibitors. Now we're talking about ASK show in Kakamega County that was attended by many. However, sex and fornication by students, partying and abuse dominated the show more than what it was expected to offer. Basically, they're saying many of those young people who went to the show went there and they were doing other things.
Apart from seeing agricultural
agricultural exhibitions.
Okay.
Hawakuenda kwa maonyesho ya kilimo.
Okay.
Wale pale walienda. Haya, City. The Star.
Right. Top right hand corner. And in the mauve corner, otherwise known,
Timov.
It's okay.
How's the Star
That is
rebranded?
not mauve.
this is what? This is rusty
So you
gold.
call it burnt orange always?
No, I thought I'd get funky today.
Mauve was that dress Ednah wore that day.
Mauve is orange, looks like purple.
Thank you very much.
All
And this
right.
one doesn't look like purple.
Well, not on Earth.
All burnt orange.
Thank you very much.
Let me not get funky. Let's just stick with burnt orange. Okay. Succession was how Kalonzo might thrash Ruto in 2027 general election. The race has
Kalonzo.
Yes, Kalonzo Musyoka, Azimio.
Oh, he's still
Like you, I will look at the small headlines and then get to the big one.
Okay.
Cops investigate drugging angle in Osinde's murder. Okay, they are already calling it murder.
Yep.
Okay, why Nairobians should brace for higher water bills. This headline should read: why Kenyans should brace for higher everything. That I think would be a more appropriate headline. Yes. Remember, there were these 7 children who were killed in a crash on the Eldoret Webuye Road. Okay, well, the requiem mass was held for them, and there's a picture of people queuing to pay their respects. Pictures of all the seven children with their names: Raymond Okoh, Primrose Okoth, Myra Tasha, Faith Evans Achieng, Yvette Atieno, Adrian Craig, and Wendy Barasa. All the pictures of these children are there, and at the requiem mass. Then at the headlines, the top: death threats force ex-IBC commissioner to flee the country. The commissioner who is being mentioned here is Irene Maset.
Allah.
Yes.
She has fled.
She has fled. Threats from people she says she knows.
Wow.
And the threats were that she should go to the president and apologize for what she did. That is, in our history, the second commissioner who has fled the country. The first one was Dr. Kombe. Yes. Who fled. Again, similar reasons.
Claiming that they are being threatened.
Yes, claiming that they're being threatened. Okay. Those are the headlines in the Star.
Tell us about traffic and then we look at these stories in detail. Sawa. Okay. Quick.
Faster. Just a little bit of it on the Thika Superhighway coming into the CBD. You'll be fine on Wangari Maathai as you're getting into the city. So use that. There's an option for you to get off the Thika Superhighway really quickly. Nothing much happening on Langata Road. It's coming off James Gishuru, easy breezy, and touching with Waiaki Way. Not an issue there. Jogo Road is a bit busy. The Southern Bypass looks pretty good. And even the Eastern Bypass, whatever was happening there around about 6 has cleared up. Looks like Friday may not be too difficult, but we're going to do a wait-see and see how that all pans out later. Talk to us on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
22 minutes to 7. Let's go into this one, right?
Yes.
Remember yesterday I read a story about a circular that had been written by the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury to departments and bosses in government, telling them freeze a couple of things. Freeze hiring, freeze promotions, freeze salary pay reviews because austerity.
Yeah, just hold.
Just hold these things because we are trying to run a tight ship. The Salaries and Remuneration Commission is not answerable to the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury. It's an independent constitutional commission. Now, they've been doing their work, and in their work, they've been sitting down with MCAs and listening to their plight, and they've also been looking at, okay, so what needs to happen over the next couple of years because it's about time for a salary review. MCAs were told the other day they were going to get, how much is it? 200 shillings pay rise.
10K.
MCAs were told, you guys, okay, you get 10K more.
That's what we have.
Yeah. Now, in the review that is proposed by the SRC over the next 2 years, that's starting from 2023-2024 financial year and the financial year 2024-2025, President William Ruto's monthly gross remuneration package will rise by 7.1% in July 2023 to 1.546 million shillings from the current 1.44 million shillings, before another 6.7% jump to 1.65 million shillings from, I'm turning the page. Where is that story now? It's on page 2 and it's right here. From July 2024. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's monthly compensation will rise to 1.36 million from 1.22 million, and another 14% over the next 2 years. The remuneration of cabinet secretaries goes up by a similar margin, rising from 1.0 million per month to going to 1.05 million from the current 924 million. MPs, including senators, will meanwhile earn 741,000 from 769,000 in the 2 upcoming financial years, respectively. The revised remuneration package to MPs and senators nevertheless excludes committee seating allowances, which are capped at 120,000 shillings per month. In the counties, governors will receive a comparable rise in compensation to the president, meaning they'll earn 1.05 million by July 2024 from the current 924,000. Members of the county assembly, meanwhile, earn 164,000 in a little over a year's time from the current 144,000. That's what? 20K. That's a 14% increase in their monthly remuneration. So everybody's getting a 14% jump.
Why?
See, because that's what the job of the SRC is.
The same SRC, or is this an adjunct committee of the SRC?
Why?
Because the same SRC, when they were addressing members of county assembly, the words that I believe they used were that at this point, it is difficult for us to cap beyond an increase of 10,000 shillings. In fact,
it's actually 20,000. It's 14%. It's the same. 14% is
the same amount of increase that they gave to.
You see, 14% of 144,000 and 14% of a million.
It's the same 14%.
It's the same 14%, but the amounts
are different.
Now, so MCAs who are currently at 144 will go to 164.
Now, let me ask you a question. This is an SRC recommendation because they've seen that, these individuals might suffer because of the high cost of living. This has come from them. And I'm asking why? Why? Because that's the job that we have given them to do. To just be raising salaries.
To review salaries.
That's what they do.
Okay.
They've reviewed.
And they reviewed and they said...
The other thing that you're alluding to is a different discussion.
Okay, Sawa. But
the salaries have been reviewed.
Okay,
no, you shouldn't keep quiet. Just, distinguish what we're talking about. The salaries have been reviewed.
Okay.
Have they not?
Yes.
That's the job that SRC has.
They've done their job.
They've done their job to review salaries. Other state officers who are getting a pay rise include PSs, the Chief Justice, the Deputy Chief Justice, the Auditor General, judges, the DPP, the Inspector General of Police,
who's the
chairpersons
DPP?
Of key commissions, IEBC, and others.
See.
The draft changes to the compensation of state officers, which were announced yesterday by the SRC, also cover allowances and benefits for the state officers. They have invited public comments on the proposed remuneration package before issuing a gazette notice, which would bring to effect the new salaries. So you have all these comments.
I have to ask one question though.
Yeah.
Does the SRC, are they also bound by the public participation requirements of the law?
Yes.
Yes, they are.
So, before this thing is gazetted, meaning
It will go for public participation.
first.
That's what they've announced now.
I got that one. And how, if there were changes, what would then happen?
They would amend.
How would we know that they've amended the changes?
They would have to come public.
They'll
Should the
gazette.
discussion not have
They'll
taken
gazette.
place before
They'll gazette.
this? Before they came up with their suggestion, should they not have inquired as to what the public think about the possibility of raising salaries?
I guess it
Yeah.
follows this. So you start with the workers,
and
you
their
listen to their
recommendation.
plight, then you look at everything else, you recommend. Then you come to the public and say, now, based on all these factors, A, B, C, D, I'm
You're recommending
recommending
1,
that
2, 3.
we pay our people this much. What do you public think?
And I'm arguing.
And then the public comes and tells you, no. You see, the public can't just come and discuss something
But you've not
up in
presented
the
to
air.
them.
No. The public can discuss. Do you think it would be a good thing if we raised the salaries?
And the public can say no, even
or
before you go and
yes?
start recommending
Yes.
and saying
A
things.
simple question like that, the public can be asked and they can respond.
It would be more helpful if you actually came up with something.
No,
Because
it's the
that's
principle I'm talking about,
it's
not the
job,
amount.
The job we've given you is to actually do the backgrounds.
So let me
You
ask
are scientists, you are human resource professionals and all those things. Go and do all those things and come and tell us. From the work that we've done, we've seen that the best that we can do to our workers is raise it by 14%, not 25, not 13, 14. What do you think? Then I ask you, why did you come up with 14%? Then I explain.
No, that.
Please,
Yes, no.
I have a question. This SRC, when they're making these recommendations, do they do it in, what's the word I'm looking for? In consolidation with the Treasury? Do they think about the things that have been said? Do they...
The details of this process.
Who do they piggyback with as they're making these recommendations? Do they look at the situation in the country at the moment, or those things don't matter? Their job
I
is
think
just
it
to
matters.
review.
I think it matters.
Okay.
And I think they even consult very widely.
Okay.
Yes, not wildly, widely.
Maybe wildly. Okay. All right. So they're aware of the current situation
Yes,
in the
I
country.
believe they are. You see, the question I'm raising is the public participation element. At what stage should we have public participation? That's the question I'm actually raising.
Across board, actually, not just for this, but even like
Yes.
with the finance bill, for example.
Yes, I'm arguing it should be before and after. It should be before and after. Even before, say, okay, we are thinking of this. What do you think? Okay, you proceed. What
Or don't
people think
proceed,
does
yeah.
not stop you from the process. They've told you what they think about it. Your job is to do this. You can still continue with your job, but you know what they said. Then you say, okay, we know what you said then, but this is what we've come up with. Now, what do you think? Yes.
This one, when it goes to public participation.
Sounds like it has happened that way.
No, it hasn't.
Just like in a law-making process.
No.
Or in the budget-making process.
No, it hasn't. This one hasn't.
Well.
And if it has, it's not clear that it has.
Be ready for anger. Anger. Well.
The reason why I'm asking this is because if you ask that question ahead of time and you have evidence that the answer was yes, you can raise salaries. When you then come up with this proposal, whether it's 2%, 14%, or 20%, you have a foundation from which you base this. If it was no, yes, go ahead. You want to say something?
How much did they say they're raising MP salary by?
14%.
It's 14% for everybody.
14% of what they earn currently. So for about 100,000 shillings, Abby. How many MPs do we have?
Members of the parliament, their current salary is it's rising to 741
From?
and then it'll go to 769.
Okay, so it's 741. So what is it currently?
Currently it's 710.
So 31,000 shillings. Cocoa is the difference.
Yeah.
31. How many
Actually,
members of parliament do we have?
theirs cumulatively will be an 8.3% wage increase
Okay, so
in 2 years,
so 31,000 for this year. How many members of parliament have we got?
including senators.
Yes.
Okay, to 400.
Let's say 410 heavy times 31,000 is 12 million. That's per month, though. Times 12. My calculator has even refused self. So, you're looking at an additional, for members of parliament alone, this is the National Assembly and the Senate, you're going to spend almost 13 million shillings extra per month.
Yes.
Okay.
What's the problem?
No, don't worry, Shabi, there's money. As you're saying there's money, let me tell you about one thing here. When we went into the CBC, it was not just for junior secondary schools, all right? As you mull over that 13 million. Now, senior high is supposed to come into operation. And there's a bit of a worry, because the infrastructure for junior secondary school was a problem. People are still complaining about it now, that in terms of its rollout, it has not happened properly, and they don't even know when you'll be able to look at it and say, yes, junior secondary school has happened, it's working well. And now here we are in this year wanting to roll out senior secondary. The question is, will it happen? Because there are infrastructure challenges, there are funding challenges, students' choice of pathways obviously will be influenced by their infrastructure and funding problems. So now the association, let me turn this page if it will allow itself to be turned. The association, I've talked about a race against time. This year marks the end of the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education exams, with the last 844 class currently in Standard 8. Okay?
Yes.
Now, the Ministry of Education officials are racing against time to prepare for the senior secondary school intake in 2.5 years, with major concerns being raised about inadequate infrastructure and training of teachers to handle the first cohort of competency-based curriculum learners. So the ones who are currently in grade 6, the ones who are currently in grade 4, by the time they get to grade 6 now, that's junior secondary, okay? They will do that for 1, 2, 3 years. The ones who are currently in grade 6 are going to be in senior secondary in the next 2.5 years.
Yes.
They're saying they're not ready.
Why?
Because there's no infrastructure and there's no money.
But we build schools, and the schools are not.
No, you build schools. You build schools for junior secondary.
No, we build classrooms for junior secondary in secondary schools.
Yeah, but for junior secondary.
Yes, in secondary schools, right? So those are classrooms. Those kids did not go to those classrooms.
No, they didn't.
They're in primary. So we have 10,000 classrooms that we built
with nothing inside. Now that's the problem.
What nothing
No,
inside?
you're going to high school, you have labs and all those other funky things.
See, the secondary school has labs.
Why are you angry? See, let me read the story.
No, it's because these people are joking.
They're jokers.
They're playing with our heads.
Premium jokers. But let me tell you, let me annoy you just a little bit more.
Okay.
The preparedness of secondary schools to implement SSS yesterday dominated the debate at the Kenya Secondary Schools Heads Association annual conference in Mombasa, with other key issues being funding and learners' choice of pathways. This year marks the end of the KCPE examinations, and the last 844 is currently in Standard 8. The current grade 7 pupils will join SSS in 2026, marking the first transition from JSS. Okay? The Ministry of Education is expected to develop an implementation matrix, there it is,
right,
and issue guidelines for SSS as it did for JSS.
Okay.
While we appreciate the decision to locate JSS at the primary level, this is what you were asking about, it is important that we start looking at the pathways to make decisions on which pathways the secondary schools should take. We should use the 2 years to assess ourselves in order to make decisions on these pathways, according to our friend, Mr. Kai Nimule. CBC learners at senior level will specialize in a career of their choice based on the 3 pathways for their level. Having had the opportunity to explore their own potential and interests and personality, the 3 pathways are art and sport, social sciences and science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is STEM. Each of the pathways will branch out into a special track that students will choose according to their abilities and interests. The art and sport science pathway will have the following tracks: sports, physical education, sports and recreation, performing arts, physical education, sports and recreation, music, dance, drama and film, and visual arts, applied arts, and fine arts. And so it goes on to talk about the STEM and the other social pathways. Now, what they're saying is that the modules and the units under these pathways are yet to be designed. All right? And we need, in what they're saying is that ministry, together with the CD, as well as the association, need to start working now, because the current grade 6s, you will not wait until 2026 January when they're going to school to now start asking them which pathway would you want to go to. This they must have established when they're doing that what they're calling cumulative exam at the end of grade 6 in November. That should have been established. So we're not even talking about 2026, we're talking about 2025, that these things should have been done. Now, what Kahi Ndimuli is saying is that there's no whiff, sniff of any preparation whatsoever. So,
it's like everybody took a break. Nobody is actually aware.
Did you even remember that there was SSS that was coming? Nobody,
2 years from now.
Exactly. You think 2 years is very far. It is.
And they're going to have a whole year of a break without admitting anybody.
Exactly.
Remember, secondary schools, after these kids of Standard 8 now go to Form 1 next year, next year but one, there'll be nobody going to secondary.
Nope, they won't.
There'll be nobody joining secondary. So there'll be a whole gap.
Yep.
By the time the current grade 6s are joining senior secondary, there'll be 2 years. Anyway, maybe they need to bring back PS Fatuma, who was running with the implementation of CBC. Yeah, maybe they need to put her somewhere
to help out. Yes. Because the truth of the matter is that these fellas need help. I said JSS that we're looking at this thing. We're just looking at it as it's flying by. We don't even know what really is happening. SSS is going to be a nightmare of epic proportions, because what is going to happen, especially now?
How do you even designate the schools into those pathways?
And we're talking about specific courses here.
Are these people who are in charge really and genuinely clueless?
Yes.
Yes.
Or is it that as they try to fix whatever they're trying to fix, which is of interest to them, and trying to merge it into a system that already exists and is working, the confusion then emerges? Because
it's varied interests.
Yes, but because this confusion is persistent, and it's typified by a lot of words, a lot of explanations.
It's a lot of words. But listen to what we're saying here. We're talking about specialization now. By the time you're at the high senior secondary school level, and you're talking about curriculum that must be developed. You're talking about infrastructure that must be brought. It must be implemented. You cannot, for example, have a pathway for STEM where you're teaching science, health, food and nutrition, home and hospitality management, ICT, metal technology, wood technology, aviation technology, and you don't have any of that in terms of infrastructure at your current institutions. And you're telling me that you have less than 2 years to implement it, and we're all just sitting here looking at each other.
It's true. It's going to be chaotic if they don't start working on it now, focused on working on it, and be very clear in their communication. So if a child chooses a STEM pathway, are there some certain schools that are equipped for STEM?
For STEM.
Or is it that the same schools will have all schools will have STEM pathways and they don't have teachers, they don't have facilities?
Who've decided that they're coming to our school and these are the pathways that they've selected. Okay, let us make sure that we have...
No, it's going to be crazy.
Madness.
Muga, what are you looking at?
2 stories. There's one in the Star. Water bills shock await city folk. Remember, there's this discussion. We heard it coming from Muranga with regards to Northlands, and there was this issue of water being diverted, taken where. And this discussion has grown legs. It's like the counties from where you have catchment areas where this water that is enjoyed by towns and cities come, they're saying they want compensation. And this discussion now, the person who has entered in the center of it and is holding forth in the discussion is the Water CS Alice Wahome. And they've held discussions with the county governor of Nairobi, who they say has no problem. But this is something that is going to affect very many other counties. Okay, what they are going to do, they're saying, since the waters, they call it bulk, because there's all this water that comes to Nairobi before you divvy it up into the various homes and houses and institutions, through, of course, the water and sewage company that we find nestled in every county. Now, what this means automatically is the price of water is going to go up.
Hey, God.
I just don't. Okay? Price of water will do what?
It will go up.
Yeah.
Because we are paying the catchment counties.
We are going to be paying the counties. They're going to be compensated for their water. So the price will simply just be, the can will be kicked down the road.
Yeah.
And at the end of that particular road, there's the consumer. And Nairobi seems to be the target because this is the place where population very big, very high, water use very big, very many. So now, as a result of that, they are the ones who are likely to feel this pinch directly and quickly. But the county government has not objected to these processes. And they say they're working on the law, and once it is done, it will also be the signing the water purchase agreement in bulk. It needs a legal framework for it to
happen.
Yes. And all these things. This is just a 411 and saying this is what we're working on and this is the process. The other story I have is in the Star on page 12 National. Proposed law seeks to give police powers to outlaw demonstrations. The bill further empowers the police to outlaw demonstrations. MP say the bill reasonably restricts demos in ensuring public safety and order. As Azimio La Umoja 1 Kenya malls return to demonstrations, a new law could leave protests virtually at the discretion of the police. A bill by Mbeere North MP Geoffrey Ruku seeks to give the police leeway to issue conditions to planners of demonstrations which, if unmet, could see the assemblies prohibited. This is just going back to a law we had before.
We will bring it back.
Yes,
it's okay.
It's not a law that we didn't have before. We had it. So,
let's wait. We'll bring in Rocco here to come and explain the law.
Spice up your life.
International. The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio. The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Obaga. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority is today set to announce reviewed fuel prices. This follows President William Ruto's enactment of the Finance Act 2023 on Monday. The Act comprises a 16% value-added tax on gasoline, up from 8% currently. A litre of super petrol in Nairobi is going for around 182 shillings, while diesel and kerosene are selling at 167 and 161 respectively. President Ruto has said the VAT increase in petroleum products was suggested by his economic advisory team, arguing that it will give the government 50 billion shillings. The Nairobi County Assembly has approved a 40.7 billion shillings budget for the financial year 2023-2024. In the budget, the project to build new health centres has been allocated more than 1.1 billion shillings, while the Ward Development Fund has received 1.95 billion shillings. Presenting the budget estimates in Parliament, the county's finance CEC Charles Kerich defended the allocation of 8.1 billion shillings towards the health sector, saying it's aimed at reducing the cost of medical services.
To continue with the spirit of affordable healthcare, I have allocated 400 million shillings for equipping and stocking of sufficient drugs and pharmaceutical items to the county health facilities. I have also allocated Kenya shillings 1.1 billion for construction, equipping and rehabilitation of health facilities. Ensuring affordable health services are accessible to all remains our key priority.
Kerich further said that education has been allocated a large share of the budget that's aimed at achieving the free lunch program, especially in public primary schools.
That this should not be taken as an opportunity to therefore harass those of us who chose not to go home, because we are serving in a nation, and this nation requires all of us. We cannot all go back to our homes because there may be no enough schools in our home for us to operate. But there are enough schools in this nation for all teachers to teach.
Mary Wanyonyi, the spouse of former IBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati, has been appointed as the new chairperson of the Commission on Revenue Allocation. Members of the National Assembly approved Wanyonyi's appointment after determining her suitability for the position. The House Committee on Finance and National Planning, which vetted Wanyonyi, concluded in their report that she was well suited for the job. President William Ruto selected Wanyonyi to succeed Jane Kirengai, who retired after completing a full 6-year term as the head of the CRA. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta's failure to appoint judges nominated by Judicial Service Commission has come to haunt the Kenya Kwanza government. The 22 judges now want President William Ruto's government to compensate them 1.2 billion shillings for not being appointed by the previous regime. In a court battle that's likely to pit the judiciary against the executive, the group led by Lands Court Judge Edward Wamboto had sued AG Justin Muturi, arguing that they were illegally and unfairly kept off work without an explanation from August 2019 to June 2021. Among the judges are Judge Lucas Lepes, Joseph Ogutu, David Mwangi, Lilian Gadoni, Ania Teach, Annette Nyukuri, Stella Ruto, Jacob Gikeri, Mikal Ngolo, among others. And brace yourself for no health services at public hospitals if the government fails to address health workers' demands. Medics across the country have vowed to go on strike from July 14th over the government's failure to fulfill promises made.
We are here to reiterate that the strike is on and to tell our members that they should prepare, as well as Kenyans, that from the 14th day of July, there will be no nurses, no clinic officers, no nutritionists, no pharmaceutical technologists, no public health officers, no laboratory officers in any of the public facilities across the country.
That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
All right, it's a few minutes after 7 o'clock and we're looking at traffic having built up in certain parts of the city. It's coming off the thicker superhighway. Not too heavy though. This one we can manage, right? Also on Kiambu Road, a little bit of traffic as you get towards Muthaiga Square. You'll be fine on Limuru Road as well. Not much coming off of Ruaka, and Kitisuru looks fine all the way in from Two Rivers out then towards Limuru Road. Red Hill Road is not looking too bad at this point either. All right, we'll see a build-up on the thicker superhighway. Actually, it's getting closer towards that junction coming in from Outer Ring. And on Uhuru Highway, it's busy getting into the city. We're looking at traffic on Jogo Road as well. North Airport Road, not looking too bad. It's not doing too poorly either, coming off of Magadi Road. But that, we see, is going to pile up. All right, into traffic hour in about half hour or so. Let's take a look in a short while. Spice FM KE on Twitter. Let's keep things moving this Friday.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's the end of the month. It's the end of the financial year. It's the end of the first half of the year. It's the end of very many things. And Colgate would like to remind you, as you go shopping for your end month shopping, please go to Naivas, buy a tube of Colgate, and for every tube of Colgate that you buy, you basically be helping Colgate in its quest to provide water to 150,000 people, particularly children. Children who many end up not going to school because they've been sent by their parents to go and fetch water. And water is not just there behind the house. water is some few kilometers from home at a river. And now with the kind of situation that we've had previously with the drought and now with heavy rains and floods, the kind of water that's in those rivers many times is also not of great quality. So children go fetch water, come back home, and diseases are spreading, waterborne diseases. Colgate is like, no, let's do this. Let's actually do water wells in various communities and help the people get access to clean, safe water. So if you go to Naivas today, anywhere in the country, buy Colgate, and you'll be helping in this noble venture. You can also shop online. If you shop online with Naivas, because you're able to shop online with Naivas, they have a wonderful e-commerce platform. You'll also be helping in the same. Ndu?
Yes.
Also, today, the final day of June, KTN Home.
KTN Home is relaunching today, coming to the end of June and saying, well, all your favorite programming, cartoons, your soaps, your sports programs, everything, getting a facelift from today. All the programs that you've loved over the years coming to you in an upgraded fashion. And welcome home to KTN Home. All our audiences can get a look at this fresh programming and a fresh look on things. Welcome home.
Kabisa. Now, we just heard in the news that the County Assembly of Nairobi has approved Nairobi executive's budget of how much?
40 billion.
40 billion shillings. We had the CECM for Finance, Charles Kerich, addressing Parliament. Kakamega was the first county actually to get its budget approved by the County Assembly. Now, that's what is happening across the country. It's budget time for counties, and we want to have that conversation. Are all sectors of our society represented in matters of managing our public finances? Let's talk about women, marginalized, youth. Are their voices included when we talk about public finance management? We are joined by two ladies in the studio for that conversation. Doris Munyinge is a program officer at Groots Kenya, and Cecilia Mtomborogo is a Groots Kenya budget champion for Laikipia County. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Karibuni sana to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Asante, and thank you for having us.
Let's have an interesting one. Siti, this man from Papua New Guinea has a proverb from Africa, the country of Chad.
Where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm.
Where two rivers meet,
the waters are never calm.
Doris, you're smiling. That proverb. Does it resonate? What's your interpretation of it?
Where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm. Okay. What's it? My interpretation of it is where two powerful, if I'm to use in this case the discussion we're having, when two powerful people come with opinions, you expect maybe something like a burst out of the conversation. Yeah, that's how I take it.
Cecilia, what's yours?
Anytime there is a discussion that is moving to the same direction, there is always a ripple effect.
City?
The beauty of Proverbs is this. Every interpretation is acceptable and is correct because that is your interpretation. Essentially what you're telling us is how that proverb resonates with you. Yes. So there was a score, or there was a scale of 1 to 10. You'd both get 10.
That's good.
Yes.
It's a good welcome, isn't it?
Thank you.
To the conversation. Now, we've had several people from Groots Kenya here before, but for the sake of those who may not have interacted with Groots Kenya, please introduce us to Groots Kenya.
Okay. First of all, thank you for having us. And Groots Kenya, Groots is an acronym of grassroots organizations operating together in sisterhood. And so Groots Kenya is a national movement of grassroots women and girls that seeks to facilitate the evidence of grassroots women as change makers in their own development. And what is interesting about us is that, one, we use a very unique model, and the model that we use is what we call the champions model. And so basically the champions model, and that's why you'll hear Cecilia introduce herself as a champion, is a model whereby we allow our grassroots women and girls to identify their problems first, to conceptualize the solutions, and then now out of this, as we are raising our programs, to be able to track change. And so I think that's why our model is very unique. And so we have been in operation for the past 28 years. We were founded in 1995. And our strategic thematic areas of work are 5. And our first one is scaling and sustaining the movement. Remember, we've been in operation for 28 years, and this means that over the past 28 years, we have had over 5,000 women groups coming on board to the movement. And so we are aiming at scaling up to the other, because we are currently in 22 counties, so we are aiming to scale up to the other counties, but at the same time, we want to sustain the 5,000 women groups that are already in the movement. Our second thematic area is on women leadership and governance, and under this particular pillar, one, we are seeking to ensure that the public changes its perception of grassroots women in leadership. Secondly, we are doing a lot of programmatic work that is aiming at capacity building our grassroots women and girls to be able to get into political positions and also various positions in the public space. And so you will find our grassroots women and girls sitting in various boards, sitting in technical working groups. And this is at local, national, region, and even international levels. And you'll also find us responding, pushing for gender-responsive public governance, because you realize that often public governance is there, but the gender responsiveness part of it is absent. And so that's what we will do in that particular thematic area. You'll also find us doing a lot of work on our pillar of economic empowerment for grassroots women and girls. And so this is where, one, we are advocating for the access, control, and ownership of productive assets, such as land, finance, and technology. And so we are saying it is, you realize that our Constitution of Kenya has actually given the mandate for grassroots women and girls to be able to access, own, and control productive assets such as land. So we are doing a lot of sensitization. We are supporting them to get into this particular area of ownership. We're also doing a lot of work on business development in this particular pillar. And this is where you will find us having what we call our guarantee funds, and also what we call the growth circle. And so you realize most of the times when a grassroots woman or girl goes to access a loan, maybe in a bank, the first thing that you'll be asked is, where's your title deed, or where's your logbook? And we came to realize that unfortunately most of our grassroots women don't have access to these things. And so we set up the growth circle to be able to allow them to still get loans, to still get money from this particular circle. And that's why you will see someone like Cecilia being a grassroots woman who is a millionaire. She can access loans of up to $1 million in a month. You'll also find us doing a lot of work on climate justice. You realize that the new global pandemic is climate change. And so we are doing a lot of work in the ASAL areas of Tana River and the likes to help reclaim land, first of all, because there's a lot of vast land, and also a lot of trainings on agroecology, climate smart agriculture, to just push for the resilience of grassroots women and girls to climate change and also to disaster. Last but not least, we are doing a lot of work on eliminating all forms of gender injustices. You realize that there's a lot of gender-based violence, especially since 2020, since the pandemic. There's been an increase of the issues of gender-based violence. And so we have set up various shelters in various parts of the country. You'll realize that we are also allowing our grassroots women to understand the various referral pathways, the alternative justice systems, so that if I wake up today and I'm a sexual gender-based violence survivor, I know exactly where to start with my case. I'll not go to the chief and maybe that's not the correct referral pathway, I'll know that I need to start at the police station. So we've done a lot of sensitization. We've also gotten a lot of funding from the MasterCard Foundation, and so out of this we developed something we call the Jasiri Fund. And so this is an economic resilience fund for gender-based violence survivors. So what next after we take you through the referral pathway? You go to court, you cannot go back to the place in which you are perpetrated. So we are able to also give gender-based violence heroes money in forms of grants and in loans, so that they can also go back and just continue with their economic work. So in a nutshell, that's the work we do. You realize we've done for 28
years of work in various, that's very good. Now, in terms of public finance management, I guess this is where you talk about organizing the various women groups to identify their needs and then to advocate that those needs are addressed by government at their local level. So this time, let's talk about the county, all right? So county is that local government. County needs to allocate resources to address the needs that have come out of the grassroots, women, youth, marginalized, and they've said these are our needs. How do you channel that communication so that then the county, as it's doing its plan, as it's working on its budget, as it's working on CIDP, your needs are put in there?
Okay. Me or Cecilia?
Yeah.
All right.
You start with you and then Cecilia will come in and tell us.
So
how
let me
direct
give a brief history of the
like
work that we've done that has led to the voices of grassroots women, youth and marginalized communities being influencing fiscal policy, which is now what you're terming as the county public finance management cycle. So for the longest time, we realized that there is a gap, because the Constitution gives permission for public participation. Legally, it is in the Constitution of Kenya. However, there is a gap because we lack something on civic education. And so in as much as there is public participation, you realize that grassroots women and girls often are attending public participation, but as they attend, there's a gap of knowledge. And so we introduced what we call the Budget Academy, to be able to allow our grassroots women and girls to have capacity. And so what does this mean? They were taught on the public finance management cycle, and so now that they are aware that in July 1st, the finance year as it starts, there's a document that is specifically set for the month of August, there's a document that is specifically set for the month of September. Now they have the capacity to realize, okay, in September, we are planning for the annual development plans of the county. And so I need to check that all the priorities that are being put, whether it is through submission of memorandas, where they are writing down their priorities, or it is through attending the public hearings, and they are going and they're sitting down and they're pushing their priorities. And when you realize that the gender responsive priorities are issues of health, issues of water, issues of gender-based violence. So we are pushing for what are they called, the rescue centers. And so this is where we came in to be able to have our grassroots women now pushing. And so this is done through, one, as I've said, we submit memorandas. So you'll find our grassroots women writing memorandas every time that there is a public finance management cycle document. You will find them physically attending public participation forums in form of public hearings. So they will hear maybe a statement like, in this particular social hall on this day, there's going to be public participation, and they will lobby each other. Remember, we said we work through women groups. And so if Cecilia, for example, has gotten the information, she will communicate to the 10 groups that she's a part of. And she'll tell them, can we show up on this particular day? Can we push for these priorities? What are the priorities in our county? And so they will go and push for this. Also, we will do this through executive councils and committees. We have been fortunate enough to lobby for our grassroots women to sit in the various committees, such as what we call the County Budget Economic Forum. That is a very critical space when it comes to the representation of the public on issues finance. So these are the various ways that we have our budget champions in this case and our grassroots women and girls lobbying for their priorities in the different counties that we work in.
Cecilia, now coming.
Yes.
You are a budget champion in Laikipia.
Yes.
Okay. So Governor Joshua Irongo right now is going to the county assembly to say, this is my budget for the year and I'd like you to approve it. Have you participated in drafting that budget, and how?
I take this opportunity to thank Spice Radio FM for giving us this chance. Groots Kenya entry point, it's through mapping and induction of champions. Who are champions? Champions are grassroots communities, women and girls, who knows what they want, how they want it, where they want to get it from, and how they'll go about it. So through the Budget Academy process, we are able to get equipped skills and knowledge that we can be able to know the timelines, the budget timelines of what we want as a community. I participated in the third generation CIDP, the third generation that is ongoing, where we are able to put all our priority areas as a county. The different forums that were conducted in Laikipia, the 202 forums that were conducted in Laikipia, with a turnout of over 25,000 participants. We were able to give at the local level, at village level. We really thank the Laikipia County government. For the first time in history, we were able to have the largest number of public forums. We also submitted our memorandums. The 15 wards that are in Laikipia were able to submit the memorandums at the county government so that they be incorporated. We were involved from the inception of the third generation CIDP, working in the sector working groups to see what it is the programs that will be there during the formation of the CIDP. We were there during the validation of the CIDP, and also the county government during the CFSP in February 20 this year, the county fiscal strategy paper that gives the ceilings of what every sector will have for development and recurrent expenditure. Our interest, we also look at what has been happening before. Is there an increase? Is the budget gender responsive? Is there an increase of what was happening? Because if money is allocated for health, water, agriculture, markets, are the places that the grassroots communities are affected most. Because if an ECD center, which is part of the devolved function at the county level, if an ECD center is put close to the people at the village level, women who take their children so far to the schools will have enough time to do their businesses, will have time to do unpaid care work, will have time to do home-based care services to the community. They'll have time for their businesses. They'll have time to engage in productive activities at the grassroots level. So whatever is happening at the county government right now, we are involved as grassroots women, because during the budget estimates, the county government of Laikipia brought back what was in the CFSP, the allocations, the specific projects. We have the MDC, the Mashinani Development Committees at the village level, where members of the public, women and men, the whole community are elected, were elected to represent various sectors. Some were selected in health, others in professionals, others in water, so that the issues, the priorities of the community at the village level are captured. They came back during the budget estimates just to see the priorities that we gave during the CIDP, because the ADP, what is in the budget estimates is an extract from the CIDP. So if you do not participate in the CIDP, you will not be anywhere in the ADP.
Okay, you talked about memoranda that then go forward to the committees, right?
Yes.
And we're also talking about, representation at the grassroots level.
Yes.
So what goes into these memoranda? What are some of the because obviously memoranda are suggestions of what the people on the ground are saying is necessary to happen at the county level. So what are some of these things then that the people are saying we need you to include this? So when you're assigning money, assign it some of these things.
When we go for public participation is a process where the concerns, the needs and values of the public are incorporated in decision making. So when you are going for public participation, public hearings, there are multitudes of people. People may not have the time and to air their views, to give their priority areas, because the timelines, maybe the allocation of public participation will be like for 2 or 3 hours. And we are a multitude of 2,000 people or 1,000 people. We will not get the chance to give our priority areas. So we get back as a community, grassroots women. And Roots Kenya, what's in a bottom-up model, where we don't have just the champions, the women and girls champions, we have the men for women champions, women who believe in women leadership. So we include them in our meetings. We do prior meetings before the public participation.
Just explain the prior meetings. How exactly do you have them, and what do you do so that it leads to this, the bigger meetings where you have thousands of people?
And if I can add to that, because we're saying this is how the county is going to spend money. And we want to be involved in that. These are the things that we are saying are important, because we are the ones who deal with them on a daily basis.
Yes.
So what are some of these things, even as you're having these meetings, that then come out? How do you then decide and say, this is what we're going to carry forward?
And these small groups, how many people do you have in them?
In them. So I have said that groups work in a bottom-up model, that we have very champions at the grassroots level. I have said that public participation happens at the village level in some counties like Laikipia. So in the village level, we have structures of leadership. I represent the Nanyuki ward as a ward coordinator. I have village representatives, leaders who will caucus and see what are the priority areas in our village, not at county level.
How do they caucus?
We use
Forgive
water.
me. The reason why you see me asking these questions, because it's important. You are discussing something that perhaps other people have never done, and they do not know even how to do it. So I'm actually asking you to get granular. I've understood the structure, how it cascades to the village. All right. Now, when we talk about the village, all right, who is involved in this discussion, and how do you get them to be involved in these intricate discussions which you're going to scale up?
Okay. After the budget academy, we were equipped with knowledge and skills about the PFM cycle and the budgeting process. So we know what will happen when. We know the areas of public participation, the timelines, because it's not any other time that we'll have public participation. So when we have been able to come together with the county government, we have WhatsApp groups. So they always inform us through the WhatsApp groups, because before they are gazetted in the Kenya Gazette or the newspapers. How many grassroots women will read the newspapers? Very few. But through the WhatsApp group, if members of the Roots Kenya champions, a majority of them are in the WhatsApp group at the ward level forums. So when we get to the timeline of the public participation, we caucus and go to the village, each to individual villages where we come from, because even in a ward there are diverse needs and priorities. So we'll caucus on what is our priority as entailed at the CIDP. So that in the annual development plan, we'll be able to know what will be our priority during this annual development plan. So we are able to know what if it is water. What do we need? Do we need the water pumps? Do we need a hospital to be equipped with the medicine? Do we need seeds? ECD. Do we need seeds because we need food for food security? Do we need to plant trees? What is our priority at then? And then we also know who will say what when we go to the public participation forum.
Okay.
You even assign who
will say what,
who speaks on certain matters.
Yes. Okay. When we go to the public hearing, we also know that we follow up with the memorandum, because we know that we may not get the chance. The champions may not get the chance to speak out of all the issues that are surrounding our communities. So we write the memorandum on the same of what we were doing at the public forum and at the memorandum, so that we are able to just a push, just a follow-up on what has been said during the public forums.
Well articulated. After the break, I'd like you to come up with specific examples.
Yes.
This 2023-2024 budget by Laikipia County is going to have this and this and these elements, and these ones came from grassroots women. Okay, and let's see how they've ended up in this budget of Laikipia County in the next financial year.
Thank you.
Cecilia Mtomburugo is a Groots Kenya budget champion for Laikipia County. Doris Munyinge is a program officer for the same organization, Groots Kenya. We are talking about influencing grassroots women, marginalized and youth voices in public finance management. Kenya's biggest conversation takes a break on KTN Home, on Spice FM, on YouTube and Facebook. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
You have been saving and are now seeking a safe and secure investment for a profitable return. For an investment that is cushioned from inflation, call 0740-400-215. You can now start collecting rental income from your unit at 1255 Palm Ridge in Kilifi by Vipingo Development. You have been saving and are now seeking a safe and secure investment for a profitable return. For an investment that is cushioned from inflation, call 0719-034-550. With a deposit of as little as 250,000, you can now start collecting rental income from your unit at Elmer Estate in Kasarani by Centum Real Estate.
I have a brother. He was a pilot. He was laid off. He came to a policeman. He messed up.
He went from a pilot to a policeman.
Exactly.
He stole a jet.
Yeah.
In fact, you should be lucky he was not court-martialed.
The Spice Drive. Big hair and the biggest hits from the best decade.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi, highs of 20 and lows of 12, and we'll see lows of 13 in a mostly sunny Nakuru. Currently at 14, it's cloudy at 14 in Nyeri, highs of 20, and Eldoret will see highs of 22. It's sunny this morning at 14. 23 and mostly cloudy in Mombasa, highs of 28, and 28 will also be the high in a mostly sunny Malindi at 24. It's 19 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 26 in Kakamega, where it's sunny at 17. 19 and cloudy in Kampala, highs of 25, and 29 will be the high in Dar es Salaam, where it's partly sunny at 23. It's dropping in Joburg. It's 3 degrees now. We'll only see highs of 15 in the mostly clear as Joburg. It's 25 and clear in Lagos, highs of 30, and 30 will be the high in a partly cloudy Kinshasa, currently at 22.
Chilled Spice.
All right, Landis Rose looks pretty busy right about now. It's coming in from Jogo Road, which is not too bad. It's heavy coming off of Survey on the Thika Superhighway, but before that, we'll not have an issue. The Northern Bypass, with its traffic here and there, looks like it'll be a bit busy, at least for the next hour or so. And we're seeing traffic on Gong Road trying to get into the CBD, and the Uhuru Highway is going to take on some of that as you try to get into the city as well. Mombasa Road is fine. You'll be all right getting off until you get towards the North Airport Road and then out towards the Eastern Bypass. Apart from that, traffic is flowing fair and free this morning. Let's know what's going on in your neck of the woods on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Morning
Conversation
done right. 94.4 Spice FM. Nairobi.
This morning, Doris Munyinge and Cecilia Mtomburugo from GROOTS is grassroots organizations operating together in sisterhood. And if what these two ladies have described this morning actually happens in this country, then, my friend, the state of devolution conversation that's about to be heard today, the speech by the chair of the Council of Governors, they just need to call you.
Yes.
The state of devolution is this. This is the state of devolution.
Yes.
Basically, you're saying that women, youth, and marginalized organize in small groups at village level, and GROOTS has educated them on the budget making cycle and instances where they can participate to influence policy. And then you also have a way of monitoring and tracking it all the way to budget and to implementation.
Yes.
As we took the break, we asked you, Cecilia, to think of a couple of examples in this current budget making cycle where your groups, because you're a champion in Laikipia, where you participated, you influenced, and something that you pushed for has been added into this year's financial budget by Laikipia County.
Yes. We were involved in the inception of the third generation CIDP. And what is happening now? So the issues and the priorities that were given, that we gave, are incorporated in this one. Because for the first time in history, the CIDP came in templates. The issue of the health was in a template. The issue of agriculture, water, according to the sectors in Laikipia County. I'll give an example of the ward where I come from. The village where I attended, Ntrokoma village. The priority area of the current ADP was water pans at household level.
Every household to have a water pan?
A water pan, yes.
Right.
Because the issues of climate change, the issues of water is critical. Because if we have water for agriculture, everything else is done. We'll be able to have time. We'll be able to have time to do other activities that relate to development. The issue of health, the community health volunteers, for I don't know what time, they've been called volunteers. They do a lot of work. They have done home-based care services. They are the linkages to the injustices, the gender-based violences that happen. But for the longest time, you've never been remunerated. But in this current budget, they are called community health promoters with a remuneration. So these are some of the examples we've been able to push for.
So your village pushed for water pans to be included in the budget?
The sector of health pushed for community health volunteers to be incorporated in the budget because of the work that they do. Other parts in the county have pushed for health centers to become like Naibo and others, to have medicine. Our health centers and facilities did not have medicine, but it is there. We'll have medicine. We'll have workers, professional workers, an increase so that services come closer to the people.
And this is actually happening today as a result of that participation?
Yes.
So then, Doris,
yes,
there is a case then to be made for public participation because the previous attitude may be, well, I'm going to go participate and then, okay, who knows if what I'm going to suggest is actually going to be incorporated.
Yes.
But here we have living active examples of people actually caucusing and saying, these are our needs, we take them forward. When time for public participation, we actually go and participate because we've come prepared.
Yes.
So there's a case to be made for it and you can see it happening. But this doesn't just happen on its own.
Yes.
It needs to be sandwiched with political will. Does it not?
Yes, it needs.
So do we see that this is happening in particular counties where the county executive then is willing and ready?
Yes.
So if you don't have a willing and ready county executive, this won't work?
Yes, unfortunately. The reality is when it comes to the issues of public finance management cycle, there is a lot of advocacy that needs to be done in order to push political will to align to what really needs, what is actually correct. And so as Cecilia speaks, you realize that the work that has been done in Laikipia through the programs of Roots Kenya is work that has happened 3.5 years. What we are seeing now is work that started in 2020. We began to push for public participations. At that point, the Laikipia used to have 15 public participation forums. So if you're having 15, then basically it means that those 15, not everyone will be able to attend it because it's at a ward level, and a ward is big. And so consistent advocacy over the 3.5 years is what has led to the fruits of seeing 202 public participation forums. And that's why, unfortunately, it may not be the case for all the counties. And that's why Groots is continuously doing this budget academies and continuously raising more budget champions. Because maybe I'll not give an example by county name, but there's a county that we work in. And unfortunately, we are struggling because you will realize that there is only one public participation forum that is being held in the whole county. One like this. Yes. And so if that is one...
And we can't say that is at least a start.
Exactly. And you realize, unfortunately, the Constitution of Kenya has given an open clause of what public participation is. It basically can happen through the 5 of us can be called to a meeting by the governor. And if we are called... that and we give our views. That is public participation because the Constitution governs public participation in forms of public hearings, memorandas, executive committees, surveys, consultations. And so that gap of what really is an effective public participation is why, unfortunately, we are realizing that there is a lack and a gap of some counties getting to hear the voices of these grassroots women, youth, and marginalized communities. And maybe, just before we get there, you'll realize that there has been improvement in some counties, whereby one county in particular, for example, was having one public participation forum in their particular county. As of last year, they had 2. And I'm happy to report that last week on Monday, if people do their research, they figure out which county I'm talking about. But last week on Monday, that particular county was at least able to increase to 7.
Oh my.
So at least there is a bit of improvement after, yeah. So there is consistent need for advocacy because this advocacy is what will push the political will to be aligned to exactly what is effective.
You've actually responded to what I was going to ask because these processes and the progress that you make, how aligned are they to the political will? Which I would argue is nestled in the governor and perhaps the county assembly. So if you have a governor who supports the process, then the process will expand. Conversely, if you have a governor who doesn't support the process, then you will have one public participation in a year. All right. And when he begins to see the light, there'll be 2. And when he really sees more light,
they become
7. Okay.
And now we'll keep pushing until they have, actually in that particular area, we are hoping to first see 35. And then now we are hoping to see them get into 200. Because you see, first of all, how this happens is, remember, it's an issue of budgeting and priority. So the budget champions and the grassroots women need to push for when they are, for example, if it's the budget estimate, at that point, what the grassroots women and girls need to do is to write a memoranda that says, under the sector of county administration, we wish to see allocation of resources for this number of public participation forums. That's how you begin it. So at the memoranda stage, you begin pushing for, at that point, at the public hearing, you keep saying, I think it's unfortunate if we are going to have one public participation forum for this whole county, and yet we are representing, maybe 50 wards, maybe 40 wards, maybe 20 wards. It begins there. And so when you see the good thing with advocacy and agency, when you keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, you get fruits eventually.
Yes.
It may take 3 years.
Yes, no, but you have something unique here.
Yes.
This budget academy, you're not just pushing in a vacuum.
Yes.
You're pushing from a position of knowledge.
Yes.
Now, have you figured out why it is some county governments resist?
Yes.
When you say budget, then you say budget academy.
Money.
And scrutiny.
And scrutiny.
Yes.
Do you know what they hear?
Yes.
Or do you know what they see?
Yes. It's very true actually what you're saying. I'm going to give you an example to respond to your question.
And again, don't give an example. Just tell us in County X.
Yes, in County X.
Yes.
Remember, unfortunately, some of our government thrive on ignorance of the public because it gives room for people to just run things according to, where you wish. If maybe my manifesto started by saying what I really want to do in this county is roads, for example, or it's hospitals, but maybe the priority of that particular, I'll give an example with Laikipia North, and Laikipia North is where they are pastoralists, and so maybe a road to them is not a priority. Water is the priority, and so if someone comes and insists I'm going to give this particular county a road by force in Laikipia North, you're failing. And so an example of why this knowledge is important and the kind of power that it gives. Cecilia here, a while ago, and a few other people were called for a certain public participation forum. And so for that particular document, the document is what we call the county fiscal strategy paper in a particular county. Maybe
it's like the budget policy statement at national level.
Yes, at national level, it's like the budget statement. And so basically what it does is to say in health, we are going to use 400 million. In roads, we are going to use 600 billion. And your work as the public is to come and challenge those resource allocations and say, I think in this county, our priority is roads. So maybe let's put this allocation to a different sector. So remember what was happening in February. It was a political season and everyone was campaigning and everyone was looking for any opportunity to find numbers in one room, and just come and advocate. And so in that particular county, one of the existing leadership at that point, political leaders, came in and brought what we call the governor's scorecard. And what does a scorecard do? It does, it comes and says, in the 5 years, you people said you wanted a road, I built these roads. You said you wanted a hospital, I built these hospitals. You said you wanted water, I did this water. And this is why knowledge is important, and maybe this is why it's fought, because the budget champions who were in that particular hall stopped the meeting. And they said, excuse me, this is the wrong platform to ask us about those things. We are here to talk about the county fiscal strategy paper. You should give me a document that says in the next financial year, this is the ceiling for health. So don't ask us about what you've done. Go and coordinate your own meeting and do that at that particular meeting. But legally, we are expecting the county fiscal strategy paper. And let me tell you, it brought war. Because unfortunately that particular county had not brought the correct documents. And so what do? They had to stop the meeting there because remember they go in numbers. So they have political, they have collective agency, they have many. So when the political leader saw that, okay, the larger part of the room actually knows what is supposed to be done, they had to leave. And so that meeting was postponed to the next day, and the next day they came with the correct documents and did what was supposed to be done. So unfortunately, not every person will be happy that you have that knowledge because you're able to stop side events.
Is there a possibility that the benefit that what you are doing accrues even to the leadership? Is it possible to communicate this? Because there is benefit.
Yes.
When you have a knowledgeable population.
Yes.
There's benefit. In fact, there's a lot of benefit.
Yes. What happens in how we are doing our work, you'll realize that maybe personally and a few of the staff in Groots Kenya are PFM experts. And so we can't be able to hold an academy and we be the ones to train those particular community members. But as Groots Kenya, we realize that no, if we do this, we are not doing what is right. And so you'll realize that our academy is normally run by the county government of those counties. We will get the departments of finance to come and do the training. We will get the department of public participation to come and do the training.
Clever.
We will get a few representatives of the county assembly to come and sit in the training. And why are we doing this? One, to create a linkage so that the budget champions in that particular room know exactly who to go to. Because these academies are 2 weeks. By the time I'm done staying with you people, maybe for 2 weeks, we'll be friends. You'll know where I live, you'll know my parents, you'll know my relatives. And so the community begins to know exactly who to talk to. And so that already brings a sense of accountability. Because when they write memorandums, they will know that my memorandum is going to the Director of Public Participation. And if I don't get a response within 14 days, I'll just call him up because I already have his number and tell him, see, I sent a memorandum and I've not gotten a response. And so this collaboration where you're not actually fighting the county government, but you're working with them is what yields the fruits that we are continuing to see in the counties where we are implementing this program.
And clearly not all counties are willing to partner with you. Or if they are, at a much slower pace.
Yes.
So how do you get them to move up the pace beyond just advocating?
Yes. You see, when it comes to advocacy is not something where you expect results overnight.
Why not?
There is a difference between activism and advocacy. Activism is maandamano. We will lift our banners, we will make noise, and maybe we will jumpstart the process. But when it comes to advocacy is where you're trying to create long-term impact, where you're trying to influence change to happen for a long time, not just for that particular document that you're pushing for, but so that in the long year of the public finance management, consistency happens over time. And remember, when it comes to doing advocacy, you have to know who to knock the door at, where to knock, when to knock, and all these kind of things.
Do you train this in your academy?
Yes.
You train them advocacy?
Yes. So we have the academy has 3 key topics. The first one is public finance management cycle. So we are telling you the financial year starts on 1st July and ends on 30th of June. The second one is public participation, so that you're able to realize that unfortunately for our county doesn't even have public hearing, because there are counties in this country that actually have 0 public hearings. They actually operate in the form of executive committees. And so if that's the case, how do we allow our grassroots women and girls to sit in these committees so that they can influence fiscal policy? And the third topic is advocacy. And so they will be taught on really what is advocacy. How do you go about advocacy? Do you go about advocacy by going to knock on the door and make noise and slam doors? Or do you go about in a slow manner, making friendship? In this case, the friendship, it will have a benefit at the end in terms of, you will get whatever you need done. So that those 3 key topics are what we do in our academy, and I think that's why we are getting this kind of resource.
Do you see, Cecilia, that even as these processes take place, because all of this, whether we like it or not, all of this comes from some kind of agitation. There's something, if you start from the end and go, there's something that is not working. And so you say, in order for this thing to work, we need to then be in the place where the decisions are being made and where the money is being spent. As these things have been happening, can you say then that agitation that has caused this thing in the first place has been significantly reduced? We look at the global pandemic today of climate change and we say it's affecting people in Laikipia County. Because of being included in these conversations, we now see that people are living better because they've been involved in the process. Do we then also see that it is giving impetus to the next thing, whereby we say, okay, we participated in this, it has worked, let us participate in the next thing. Let us make sure that there's a primary ECD school. Let us make sure that there's one. Now, when we get that one, we go to the next. Can you see now that there's an excitement almost to say it has worked, let us do some more?
Impact is not realized in a day. We are in this for only 3.5 years, but we can already see some kind of impact, because after the budget academy, every champion in Murang'a and Laikipia, 199 budget champions were trained along the 3 pillars that we have talked about. We went back to our communities and sensitized each not less than 100 community members in churches, in one-on-one conversations, in public balazas, in chiefs balazas, even with the stakeholders, so that we can have a numbers, tyranny of numbers. Because if you're just the 199 of us in the 2 counties, we may not feel the impact. But we know that this is a long-term impact that will be realized. We will have many people, because my people get perished because of lack of knowledge. Very many people, when we go to these forums, or even these sensitization forums, they always tell us, are you experts? We are not experts, but we are experts in our own small way. Because the knowledge that has been impacted on us, we are able to push it to the next level, to our community members that we come from. We realize if this is done in the 47 counties in the country, there will be great impact, because people have no idea of what happens in the fiscal spaces, which is money. They don't know the timelines. The public participations that used to happen, it was hooliganism. People are going to fight the governor. They are asking, where is the governor? They are used to stipends, getting 200 shillings. So they also believe that when you go for public participations, they're expecting, they should be paid. But we have realized that when we go to these forums, we are going with tangible things, priorities and needs and concerns of the development that we want to see in our grassroots communities.
Cecily, are you saying that when you participate, you're not paying people a stipend?
No, we don't need. We don't need the stipend.
At village level?
Not at even
as you go
level.
to ward and county level?
We don't need the stipend.
People don't get paid at all?
No, we don't get paid.
How many people come out for, let's say, public participation at village level?
I have just told you, in Laikipia County, during the CIDP, 200. When we were giving our priority areas for the third generation CIDP, we had 202 forums, public hearings, with a turnout of 25,000 members of the public. How do you pay those? 25,000 people. We didn't need to be paid. Because this is where the community go wrong. Because if you're paid, then...
Are you saying that the communities that you live in and engage with have understood the benefits that they derive from this, and that the knowledge provided is payment enough?
Yes, it is payment enough, because we want to see results. Not for personal results, or for personal gain, but for the community. If a road is done, it is not Cecilia's. If a hospital has medicine, it's not Cecilia's or Doris. It is for the whole community. For the person who participated in the hearing or the person who did not. The very vulnerable grassroots communities will benefit from our voices. That is where we are saying, my budget, my voice. Yes.
Wow.
Freedom has arrived.
Bas. The next person who's coming after you is the governor of Kakamega County.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Do you have groups in Kakamega?
Yes, we do.
How active is it?
Very active.
Ah, very good.
Yes.
Okay, so we're asking a couple of those questions.
Yes.
And how many public participation Furahi has had. His was the first county to get its budget passed by the county assembly. So we'll see.
He's doing a good job, actually.
Oh, is he?
Yes, you can pass our congratulations.
Okay.
Public participation.
Very good. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Doris Munyenge and Cecilia Mtomborogo are from GROOT Kenya. GROOT is grassroots organizations operating together in sisterhood. They've been telling us about the voice of women, youth, and marginalized in getting their development at county level. Keep it here for more. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio. The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Over 5.4 million Kenyans have filed their returns, representing a 16% growth compared to the returns submitted last year. In a statement, KRA says that an average of 150,000 returns were being processed daily, with the number expected to increase as the filing deadline is set for today midnight. The authority is urging taxpayers to file their returns before midnight in order to avoid being penalized. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority has closed at least 12 filling stations and fined 5 others over non-compliance to fuel standards. In a report covering the March-June review period, EPRA said one filling station is in Bungoma, Sirisia town, which had moved to court to challenge regulatory sanctions. Service stations affected include Aliset in Maungu, Taita Taveta, whose diesel pump was sealed. In Kajiado, the regulator sealed petrol dispensing pumps at Wilbur Station in Isneti. DCI DCI detectives have continued to intensify their probe seeking to unravel the motive behind the murder of former National Treasury official Tom Osinde, whose body was found dumped in River Kuja in Kamagambo, at the border of Migori and Kisii counties. Investigators suspect that the late Osinde may have succumbed after he was stabbed with a knife and hit with a blunt object on his head on June 18th, the same day he was reported missing. Nakuru DCI boss Donato Otieno says that events that culminated to this day include a report by the main suspect in the murder probe, Julius Mogoi, who said he dumped the body in the river. Mogoi led the DCI officers to the crime scene on Tuesday this week.
2 switches are interfered with upstairs, but we are still investigating. So I cannot tell whether it was before or during the period, because the close family members were not around during the period.
In the meantime, the main suspects, Mugui and Mugo, are in police custody and will be detained for 21 days after the police asked the court for more time to conclude the investigation. Osinde's body lies at Migori Level 4 Hospital awaiting a post-mortem.
Walivyokuja ndio tulikuja na kitengo cha DCI mahali ambapo mshukiwa huyu Julius Mogoi alisema kuwa alitupa msee kwa huu mto.
A former commissioner with the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has fled the country. Irene Masit, who is among the 4 commissioners who challenged the election of William Ruto as president, quietly left the country on Tuesday over what sources described as an ending and chilling death threat. Masit becomes the second high-profile IBC official to flee the country in less than 6 years after Roselyn Akombe. Akombe secretly left the country a week to the repeat of the 2017 presidential election following what she said were threats to her life, which she couldn't take lightly after the brutal murder of IT manager Chris Msando. Maset, who was fired from the helm of the IBC by a tribunal, is said to have been under a lot of pressure from people known to her to apologize for having opposed Ruto's election. A police officer at Kimala Mata Police Post in Taita Taveta has shot and killed his senior before turning the gun on himself. Constable Felix Koskei was returning his official firearm to the armory after night duty when he shot Corporal David Kazungu. Kazungu was shot on the right-hand side of the head and in the chest and left upper leg, dying on the spot. Koskei then shot himself on the chin and was rushed to Taveta Sub-County Hospital in serious condition. He later succumbed to the gunshot injuries. His colleagues said the reason for the shooting was not immediately established, adding that the two were known to be officers of few words. And in the international scene, Prince Harry and his wife Meghan have finally vacated their home on the royal family's Windsor estate west of London Buckingham Palace. The property, known as Frogmore Cottage, was a wedding present to the couple from Harry's grandmother, the late Queen Elizabeth II, in 2018. But they were reportedly asked to remove any remaining possessions days after Harry, King Charles III's younger son, launched a scathing attack on his family in his controversial memoir, Spare, in January. The loss of the property leaves the couple without a UK base. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Okay, a few minutes after 8 o'clock, traffic still in a few parts of the city. It's actually not too bad a Friday. We're looking at a little bit of traffic here and there. Let's look at what's going on Langata Road, coming off of Magadi Road. A little bit of that. Gong Road is also a bit busy just at that junction coming in from Karen, and it's going to join onto the Southern Bypass at some point. Gong Road also is packing up as you get towards that roundabout at the City Mortuary and then connecting with Valley Road. Uhuru Highway is packing up as you're getting into the city, and we're also seeing some traffic busy on James Gishuru. It's also busy on the Thika Superhighway, then coming in through towards Pangani. Kiambu Road is not doing too badly today. So just going to keep an eye on things. But for now, I think you can get through it without too much of a headache. How about we talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter and keep things moving this Friday?
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
All right, it is
the only way to start your...
On to the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is The Situation Room right here. Spice FM, KTN Home, online on YouTube and Facebook. Speaking of KTN Home.
Today's that day, rounding in the end of the month with the relaunch of KTN Home programming. All your favorite programming in terms of sports, kids programs, cartoons, your soaps, everything across the board gets a new face today on the 30th of June and launching you into a new month with your favorite programming and saying, welcome home.
Indeed. Our next guest is here, is the person who we were told to say a big congratulations to. So we are starting with that, just saying a big congratulations to the governor of Kakamega County for what apparently they are doing in Kakamega with public participation. Tunaanza kwa makofi. All right. FCPA Fernandez Barasa is the governor of Kakamega County. Good morning, sir.
Morning to you.
Welcome to the hot seat of Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Yes,
the ladies who are here are from an organization called GROOTS Kenya. GROOTS is grassroots organizations operating together in sisterhood. They organize public participation at the very grassroots level, where they bring the voices of the people to the government, and they participate in CIDP, they participate in the annual development plan, they participate in the budget making process, giving feedback in public participation, and they say they've had a very good time with the county government of Kakamega.
Very well.
Haya. Hiyo, karibu.
Asante.
This gentleman that you see here wearing this hat, this is a Papua New Guinea elder. He's honorary Papua New Guinea elder, but he's Kenyan. His name is C.T. Muga, and he always has the day's proverb.
You don't believe everything this gentleman tells you. Our proverbs for the whole of this week, this is the last proverb for the week, have been from the country of Chad. Where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm.
Where two rivers meet,
the waters are
never calm.
Yes.
We had a conversation with you last week, or is it last week but one? Talking about the rainforest that is Kakamega Forest.
Yes.
So of course there are many rivers in Kakamega.
Yeah.
Where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm. I'm not going to ask you whether you relate with that proverb. Obviously, coming from Kakamega, you definitely do. But what's your interpretation of this proverb?
My interpretation of this proverb is where we have people having different ideas. Definitely, there's never a concurrence because of maybe competing initiatives. That is how I can interpret that proverb. Yeah.
Many ideas, competing ideas, there'll always be some knocking of heads.
That is it, competing initiatives.
Okay.
Yeah.
CT?
You know, if the interpretation of the proverbs were an exam, you would have gotten 100%. And the reason is, we ask for your interpretation, it's how the proverb resonates with you. And that's exactly what you've said. Yes. As they say, iron sharpens iron.
Really?
Yes.
That's very true. Governor in Nairobi to do many things. One of them is later today we expect to hear the state of devolution speech from the chair of the council. You chair a crucial committee of the Council of Governors, the Committee on Finance, Planning and Economic Affairs. So We want to have a conversation with you about the state of devolution in the country, but let's start to begin with Kakamega. You recently had your budget approved by the County Assembly, 17.68 billion shillings.
Yep.
You were the first county to get its budget approved. 17.8 billion shillings is a lot of money.
Yeah.
How much of it is coming from the revenue share at national level?
What is coming from the equitable share?
Yes, equitable share.
It's around 13 billion Kenya shillings, based on the new release that was given, that is 385 billion. We also having amounts coming from the on-source revenue. That is around 2.2 billion Kenya shillings. Then, of course, we also have conditional grants, largely financing agriculture and some part of healthcare. Yeah, which will be the difference. Yeah, so when you look at that distribution, basically we have three main sources of funds. Going forward, I was trying to just encourage now counties to have what we call the Credit Worthiness Initiative, which is being spearheaded by the Commission on Revenue Allocation. This will open up counties maybe for scrutiny based on some specific criteria. Then it will now bring out their rating in terms of credit worthiness to facilitate external borrowing. Because in the Constitution, we also have that source of funding that should be coming from external borrowing. But first things first, counties should go through a rating. Yeah.
In order to be able to attract this.
Absolutely.
Please just explain to us, what are conditional grants? We can understand shareable revenue, we can understand own source revenue and how you collect, you generate it. What are conditional grants?
Conditional grants, these are monies which are given to counties with specific obligations. And one of them, I can just say, is, let's say, medical equipment. When the money is given to counties, it is going to fund a specific program without any diversion. And largely, this money is released either directly by the National Treasury to fund a specific program or by external partners. That's why the money is a conditional grant. It can never be diverted to fund any other expenditure. Yeah.
Okay. The own source revenue has been an issue, Governor. And if just looking at these numbers, I mean, own source revenue, as you said, 2.2 billion. Is there a case to be made for counties, even looking at Kakamega, to increase the amount of money that comes from own source revenue? We see that this revenue is largely from the collection of license fees and things like that, is it not? Is there space for more things to happen within the county that would then bring about revenue, much like what we see in different parts of the world in the federal system, whereby, states then create their own revenue in addition to what they get from the federal government? Now here, beyond the collection of licenses, is there room for some kind of creativity to step in and to say, let's increase this money that comes and not be so heavily then dependent on what comes from national government in the equitable share, for example?
Now, when you look at the revenue regime in Kenya, especially the taxes, what the Public Finance Management Act has given to the counties is only two sources. That is entertainment and property taxes. So that's now the source. What we are doing now as counties is to make sure that we exploit to the maximum the potential that exists. For example, in Kakamega, there is what we call the rating bill, which has never been there. We've not been collecting levies on rates, right, because there is no rating bill. So I've tasked my Department of Urban Development and Lands to make sure that that rating bill is fast-tracked. We also have creation of municipalities. When you have municipalities in the county, then it will become a very big source of revenue because there will be a lot of economic activities. So far, before end of the year, I will be having Malava is one of my biggest sub-counties. Being upgraded to be a municipality. Butere will also be upgraded to be a municipality. And later, Matunda in Likuyani will also be a municipality. So once we have those municipalities on board, definitely the infrastructure will be different, because World Bank has a program of supporting municipalities through a specific conditional grants. And of course, once the infrastructure has been improved, then revenues will shoot. The other issue we are doing is to make sure that we seal most of the loopholes on revenue collections through automation now. I brought on board a very robust cashless system that is facilitating collection of revenues. And we have a study by the Commission on Revenue Allocation, which has given counties a potential of collecting almost 200 billion Kenya shillings per year.
Collectively?
Collectively.
Yes.
Yeah. When you look at the performance for last year, we are talking about only 35 billion Kenya shillings collectively. So what that means is there's a lot of potential which has not been exploited. For example, in Kakamega, we have mining of gold. Gold mining is a big thing. Right now, national government has provided now the Mining Act. We are doing a lot of exploration so that we move from artisanal mining to commercial mining. This will give us an opportunity of earning 20% of the revenues from gold, because the revenue sharing formula is 70, 20, 10. 10 goes to the community as CSR, 20 to the county, and 70 to the national government. So when you exploit all those potentials, you can clearly see that our potential is unlimited. Yeah.
Your Excellency, explain something to me. When you create municipalities, what is it in the creation of municipalities will then enable the entity we refer to as a county to realize more revenue? Because the people who live there won't move. They'll be the same people. The people who work there will probably be the same people. What are these salient points within a municipality that bring these things about?
Very well. Now, what happens is when you create municipalities, the infrastructure will be improved. We'll have a better road network. The World Bank has a specific program of ensuring that they uplift the municipalities. Municipalities will attract commercial institutions. Of course, when you have more investments in the county, also the levies will increase. Municipalities will definitely attract employment opportunities, because we'll have banks setting up there because of the better infrastructure. We'll have modern markets being built there. So when you automate activities around an urban area, definitely the collections will improve.
So are you saying that municipalities then become something like semi-autonomous entities within the county, but with specific advantages of having administrative and financial structures that enable it to do these things, and which are nestled perhaps in our constitution, because then they're able to do what now they can't do?
Yeah, in fact, what municipalities will do, of course, one of the issues is increased urbanization. And in an urbanized setup, very good infrastructure, social amenities are available, more investments will come in that area, then definitely you'll have more revenues being collected.
The reason why I'm asking this thing and belaboring the point, because I'm thinking the county system came in, municipalities existed, then they seem to have been done away with. And the only place where one found municipalities was in, say, the big cities. Okay? Talking Mombasa, Kisumu, and Nairobi. Okay?
Yeah.
So now you're talking about something which existed before. Now the old municipalities, one understood what they did.
Yeah.
And there was even a ministry that dealt with them, Ministry of Local Local Government, Local Authorities. So is that to say then that perhaps within the national government there may be need for such a ministry to be able to handle and to assist with these creations?
Well, I think this is a county initiative because in the past we used to have town councils,
yes,
townships, for example. But in the new constitutional dispensation, the World Bank has a program on accelerating urbanization in the counties. And that is done through creation of municipalities. There's actually a criteria. You can't just wake up one morning and say this area is from
this is now municipality.
We have a criteria, population, social amenities, land available, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So once you go through, and then of course there is a committee that you appoint to go through all those issues and tick the boxes. Then World Bank, because they're very particular about that program, they'll come and do a survey through a mission to assess the preparedness of the county in that specific ecosystem, whether now the municipality can be created. And once they've given a nod and they've ticked all the boxes, then as a governor, you now legislate by having it gazetted officially. Yeah.
There's actually an act of parliament. This is the Urban Areas and Cities Act that governs this whole process.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at some of those things. So, for example, qualification for conferment of a municipality. For one area to be classified as a municipality, it needs to have a population of at least between 70,000 and 249,000 residents. It must have an integrated urban area or city development plan. It must have a demonstrable capacity to generate sufficient revenue, capacity to effectively and efficiently deliver essential services to residents, institutionalized active participation by residents, sufficient space for expansion, infrastructure facilities, including but not limited to street lighting, markets and fire stations, capacity for functional and effective waste disposal.
Very well.
Now, those things, just those ones,
Yeah.
Governor, and you're saying Malava, Butere, Matunda will progressively become municipalities.
Yeah.
You need to have done a lot to do that. For example, waste management is a big issue. Having an integrated plan that sees how this municipality is organized, having space for expansion.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yeah, in fact, and that's what I was telling you, it's actually a process. In terms of population, that's already a criteria that has been...
That one has been met. We can tick the box.
Met, yeah, because we are very productive people there. Number two, sewerage, we are also investing a lot. We have put specific allocation through the Ministry of Environment and also survey and urban development, which is like counterpart funding to attract any other funding from the DFIs. In terms of course, the space, very crucial for expansion because you cannot have a municipality where there is no space for expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should become a city.
Absolutely.
In future.
Then, in terms of the fiscal planning, we are now in the process of making sure that the spatial plans have been approved for purposes of now making sure that any future developments are based on a spatial plan that has been approved. So one of my departments in the Ministry of Housing and Fiscal Planning, they're now fast-tracking that. There's public participation that has been going on so that we bring everybody on board. So it's exactly like criteria. That's what I was saying. By the end of this calendar year, we shall have at least met all the criteria. Then I sign off and gazette those 3 towns as municipalities.
Yeah.
We only have 2 municipalities at the moment, Kakamega and Mumias. And because of that, when you even go there, you'll see a big difference in terms of the infrastructure, because World Bank comes in very strongly, financial institutions come in to invest. Like Malava sub-county, we don't even have a bank there. And we have a population of over 250,000 people. So that's why the municipality thing is actually
it's a big thing.
It's a big thing.
Yeah. And you're banking on it to be able to raise the 2.2 billion shillings in own source revenue by June next year.
Yes.
We are closing the financial year today. How much have you raised in own source revenue this financial year?
This financial year, as at the month of April, we had actually done 1.5 billion Kenya shillings. And of course, that one having brought on board the cashless system in January. What the previous administration had in June 2022 was 1.1 billion Kenya shillings.
At the end of the year?
At the end of the year. And that is why I have a very ambitious program now of doubling that in the next financial year.
What would happen? What would happen that would make that possible? I mean, there's ambition and then there's reality, isn't it, Governor? That you can see, obviously, see things on the ground that will say, or is it just because we're able to do this with this amount of effort? What then would you say is resident in reality that would then make that ambition possible?
The first thing is automating all the collections. And that one already done because we have a system that we've brought on board, a software to basically move away from manual collections of revenue because there's a lot of pilferage when you're doing manual. That's number one. Number two, we have also now done specific automation in the health sector. We have an integrated health management system. That's also one of our revenue centers. In fact, 2 weeks ago, we even commissioned what we call Facilities Improvement Fund. Again, the first county to do that, where all the collections in the Ministry of Health will be domiciled in that particular ministry. And for us to fast track and make sure that we collect whatever is collected, because there's a lot of potential, we have now automated that system. In the past, it was manual. So when there's manual, there's also a lot of lack of controls.
Yes.
The guys will come with a deposit slip and maybe the money is not in the bank. Those kind of things. Magic, So through automation, I'm very confident that those specific interventions, we are actually going to meet, if not surpassing the target.
The voice of the people is also something that you mentioned last week when we had a brief chat. And it's a conversation we spoke about an hour ago, just here. And of course, your county came up. And in terms of the voice of the people is heard, giving adequate and ample space for the voice of the people to come about in these plans that you have. How important is it? They're the plans that the county executive has under your leadership. But then there are people who put you in office, essentially. And their needs that they have. Where do their needs and voice then rank in priority for the things that you're planning and doing in the county?
Well, when you look at the voice of the people, it's actually a constitutional requirement. Largely, if you do a very good program without involving the public, somebody will even run to court. Because there was no public participation. And that is why our first priority is making sure that people are involved in all the programs that you want to do, right from the budget process. If we have any programs, like at the moment we have a public participation around the plans. Yes, we had the CIDP. That was approved. And by the way, also the first one.
To get an approved CIDP.
To get an approved CIDP and commission it. It went through public participation. Through CIDP, we have had the budget. After the budget has been approved, the next program now is specific development plans, which now we tell the committee, yes, you told us you want 10 programs in 5 years. Which are the priorities for this financial year? Again, we'll have a program for public participation. And when you do that, it becomes very successful at the time of implementation. And people, of course, they'll believe that they been part and parcel of the process. You get a buy-in. You don't get resistance on the ground. And project implementation becomes very effective. Yeah.
Let's take a break and then continue the conversation shortly. 28 minutes to 9. This is the Situation Room. FCPA Fernandez Barraza is the governor of Kakamega County. He's also the chair of the Finance, Planning and Economic Affairs Committee of the Council of Governors. He's our guest. We are talking about the state of devolution in Kenya, and we are focusing a lot on Kakamega County and what's happening in that county. The issues of water, Governor, not just for the issue of Kakamega, but across the country, water is a big issue. Many children don't go to school because they don't have access to drinking water. So they spend many hours just going in search of water. Now, Colgate has looked at this and saying, we can do something about it. And Colgate has launched a campaign where they want to do 30 water wells in various communities to benefit at least 150,000 people. And what they're saying is, when you send people to go for your monthly shopping, please remind your household to go to Naivas, nearest Naivas, or you can even shop online. They buy Colgate. Once they buy Colgate, part of that money goes into this program. 30 water wells servicing at least 150,000 people. And you know what? You can also have a conversation with Colgate. Maybe in some areas in Kakamega or in neighboring counties where they ought to know about and where you can partner and you work with them. Yuko namna gani?
Sawa kabisa.
Hiyo sawa. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. And hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. We'll see highs of 20 and lows of 12 through Friday. It's sunny at 15 in Nakuru and cloudy at 14 in Nyeri. 14 and partly sunny in Eldoret. And we're looking at sunny conditions at 24 in Mombasa. It's also 24 and sunny in Malindi. 21 and sunny in Kisumu. 18 and sunny in Kakamega. It's 19 and cloudy in Kampala. 26 will be the high, and we'll see highs of 29 in a sunny Dar es Salaam at 25. It's 3 degrees and sunny in Johannesburg. And mostly cloudy at 25 in Lagos. It's 21 and partly sunny in Kinshasa.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Right. 94.4 Spice FM,
All right,
Nairobi.
On Gong Road this morning, in and out of the city. It's manageable though, and whatever traffic was on Jogger Road seems to have fizzled out and gone all the way to Landis Road. It's heavy as you go towards Kamkunji at the roundabout. All right, on the Thika Superhighway, traffic coming in through towards the Pangani Underpass, still heavy as you get towards Muranga Road. And whatever happened on Kiambu Road today, I do not know, but can we do it every day? Because not much in terms of traffic. Just as you approach Muthaiga Square is the heaviest of it. James Gishoro spilling over to Waiyaki Way is bumper to bumper over the drift, and we see some traffic on Uhuru Highway getting into the CBD. You're fine on the Southern Bypass. The Eastern Bypass is not clogging up too much this Friday. Let's keep an eye on things and see how it pans out closer to 9. Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
4 minutes to 9 with FCPA Fernandez Barasa, the governor of Kakamega County. We are on Spice FM around the country, 102.5 in Kisumu, 87.9 in Mombasa, 90.9 in Nyeri, 94.4 Nairobi, 97.6 in Malindi, Nakuru 96.0, Eldoret 96.7. Governor, the issue of recurrent expenditure is a big one. Of course, even in your budget, even this 17.6 billion shillings budget, a lot of it is going towards paying of salaries. And it's become a big issue at national level and even at county level. How much of your budget is actually going to salaries in terms of even percentages? And what are you doing to keep it in check?
First and foremost, I want to confirm that yes, we have inherited huge numbers in terms of the staff, and the biggest challenge that we have in the counties is how to manage the wage bill. And for some of us who are the new kids on the block, you are between a rock and a hard place. Because you come in and you find the county is largely fully established. You cannot release those people because they were duly employed. Largely 70% residents of the county. So what you do now is to manage the wage bill. Of course, you have pressure from the guys who supported you. They want to be in government. Out of the 17.6 billion Kenya shillings, our recurrent is actually around 6.1 billion Kenya shillings. Of course, slightly above 35% because we have a responsibility of maintaining our recurrent expenditure to the very bare minimum of 35%. What we are doing now as a county is to make sure that most of the programs are implemented by outsourcing. And one of the ways of dealing with that is, for example, security. You don't need to employ security officers. It's a county. When you outsource that, of course, you will manage a few areas of recurrent because most of the problems associated with staff traveling, etc., those ones will be outsourced. So you only deal now with the security firm. Cleaning is another area that you outsource to a specific cleaning companies. Again, we have actually progressively started doing that so that we operate within the fiscal framework that has been provided for in the PFM Act, and also as the guidelines by the Commission on Revenue Allocation. In this budget, one thing that I'm very excited about is we've managed to make sure that we actually maintain the fiscal discipline, which requires that you allocate at least 30% of your budget on development, because that is what people will see. The impact will come from development. And in the budget that was approved, we have allocated 36% to development projects, which means at least besides just complying with the fiscal discipline, we also are progressively very committed to have impactful programs which will now improve the lives of people in Kakamega. I have a specific pillar on wealth creation. And for you to create wealth, you need at least to have programs, you need to have investment programs, which will now give people an opportunity to earn a living.
obviously county bosses are agents of devolution. By the fact that you are there at that position, it's saying that we are now then the ones who are going to propel devolution and to work at the county level. Do you feel, or from what you see, I mean from what we all see, if we're looking at money coming from the national government, and this is equitable share money, right, that delays with the regularity that we've seen it in the last few months and years, does that stifle devolution? If it does, do you see this as a direct contravention to devolution as it should be?
Definitely the delays in disbursement of equitable share, that is largely the source of financing of county operations, is an area of concern. For the last cycle, which of course we are closing today, we were a bit understanding because we are moving in that transition. But I also want to appreciate the national government under the leadership of President William Ruto, because so far the counties have received all the monies which were supposed to be disbursed up to 30th of June. The last having come in actually on Monday. That is 29.6 billion Kenya shillings. So in total, we've received 399 billion Kenya shillings. That is including the last disbursement of the last financial year. We expect to have a predictable and timely disbursement of funds. That was one of the resolutions we had under the IBEC meeting that is chaired by the Deputy President. And the priority was counties should be receiving the equitable share as per the provisions of the PFM Act. There's a specific provision under Section 17(2) of the PFM Act that states that every 15th of the month, counties will be receiving the equitable share. So we are optimistic that in this financial year, starting from tomorrow, once all the cash plans have been put in place, will not witness delays as have been in the past.
There's a thorny subject that always appears in the papers. It's one of pending bills. Does Kakamega have pending bills? And if they do, how is the county, thinking, planning, managing to ensure that they clear all these bills, if indeed they do exist?
One thing that I'm very proud about is we have actually cleared all our pending bills that we inherited in the last financial year. When I came on board, we had 1.3 billion shillings in pending bills. As at 31st of May, we had only a balance of 134. And this has
134
million. Which has already been sorted by the disbursement that we received 2 weeks ago. So I'm very proud that we are closing the financial year without pending bills that we inherited.
Governor, you must tell us how you're able to do this, because it seems as though it is something that's very difficult to do across the country, because we've got a huge number. And until now, a committee has been put in place to check and see what. So how are you able to how are you able to do this? Maybe it seems like another magical thing. It will be the second time we've mentioned it this hour.
Only in Kakamega.
There may be other counties, but we probably haven't heard of them. We know Mombasa has made some very serious strides towards this, but we haven't heard much from other counties.
Everybody seems to be in limbo in terms of not being able to do this because of 1, 2, 3. So you must tell us.
Yeah, very well.
How?
Now, the first thing that I did was to set up a pending bills committee to do a verification exercise of the pending bills. And I gave them 1 month because I had a very specific agenda to deliver. And after that audit was done, good enough, the amounts which had been captured as pending bills were actually properly supported. And to this, I want to give credit to my predecessor, FCPA, Wycliffe Ombaso Paranya, at least for handing over to me a county that has a bit of financial sanity.
As opposed to the financial insanity.
Yeah, so that was the first good advantage. So after the audit from the month of October, I now tasked my finance people to make sure that in every disbursement that we receive, the first charge, of course, is staff emoluments, and then the next charge is sorting out the pending bills. So progressively, we've been releasing at least 200 million in terms of pending bills. And that's why the balance of 134 that was there as at end of May, we have actually sorted out. Now, the only amounts now going forward, which of course we'll be having, are now accruals, not really pending bills per se, because there's a difference between accruals and pending bills. Yeah.
How do you have a plan on how soon you'll be paying any invoice that's submitted to the county of Kakamega? Like, do you want to be paying within 30 days, 90 days, 120 days?
Now, when you look at the credit period that we have, of course, is 45 days. It's also very good financial management to have what we call credit financing, so that you don't operate on cash on delivery. So 45 days is our credit period. So largely, most of the items which are supplied, I've tasked my team, procurement and the entire supply chain, to make sure that the inspection and acceptance committees are in place, very progressive. When an order has been given or a service has been provided, the inspection and acceptance committee must move in to do verification, because you must do verification first, so that you don't just pay air. Sometimes you can pay air. So that inspection.
Well, if you ordered air,
and you receive air,
you will pay air.
So that committee is very progressive, and for me, when you do that, we'll really not have this challenge of pending bills. I
want to bring in the issue of the relation between, now talking at your position at the Council of Governors, the relationship between the counties and the national government. So this administration is very keen on doing some things. One, the affordable housing projects, and taking that to the counties, where much of the land will be provided by counties. There is the county aggregated industrial parks, which are also a collaboration between the counties and the national government, with the counties again identifying land, providing land, and working, also allocating some budget towards this. Let's start with the housing. How is this being done? What's the process of identifying the area that is going to have the affordable housing project? And is that handed over to the national government? What's the relationship here?
Very well. Now, one thing that we really appreciate is even under Article 187 of the Constitution that allows the national government and the county governments to collaborate on matters development. And the fact that we are interdependent, it's on that framework that we can do more by working together. On the issue of housing, what counties are doing, number one, is to make sure that we identify suitable land. Like in Kakamega, we have a land bank. So anytime we have an investment proposal, We have various places we can show our partners. Specifically for housing, the Department of Urban Development came to Kakamega. Of course, they have to look at the available land, which they did assessment. And we have identified, we have 20 acres within Kakamega municipality. We also have 15 acres in Mumias municipality that the National Department of Urban Development is actually satisfied that can be housing sites. So that program is now done through that collaboration. So for us, because we appreciate the value add on this collaboration, by providing land is very good. Now progressively, when now the national government will start off the program of constructing houses, we expect employment opportunities to be created. We also expect county people to be suppliers of some of the materials required for that program. So I look at it as a win-win program. Now on aggregation centers, the same thing. We have a program that we are putting in money, 250 million, and then the national government also puts in 250 million, so that we now progress on the aggregation centers, and this will start in the next financial year, starting from tomorrow. Already in my budget, we have put in 250 million. And the advantage with aggregation centers is we are going to pull a lot of investments together. Issues of agribusiness will be fast-tracked. But in Kakamega, I was even ahead of the national government, where we've already launched an organic fertilizer plant. And that was done last month. I even had a pleasure of inviting the ambassador for US, Madam Meg Whiteman. She was there to commission the construction of an organic fertilizer plant in our industrial park. So when you have all those programs in place, you're assured of creating employment opportunities. You're assured of course, improving the infrastructure in that area. And this becomes a win-win situation, which of course will now reduce pressure from wananchi looking for small monies from you.
What are the risks? Risk number one.
Yeah.
Risk number one is the project begins, the project stalls at some point, and it becomes a white elephant. People look at you, Governor Barasa, as the one in charge or responsible for the white elephant. Politically, not good for you.
Absolutely.
Then the second risk is the quality of the development that comes up. So let's say the 20 acres in Kakamega.
Yeah.
For you to have 20 acres of an urban housing coming up, you need to have a lot of facilities put in place. You need to expand the roads that lead there. You need to look at waste management, sewer systems. You need to look at availability and access to schools. ECD, that's your responsibility. You need to build ECDs there. You need to build markets there and bus stops.
Health facilities.
And health facilities. And if you're not prepared for that, then it becomes a flop, so to speak. How do you deal with that?
Well, and that's now why it requires a lot of commitment. If you don't implement properly, definitely it will be political suicide, especially for some of us who are first-timers. And if we do it properly, it will be a plus to you. And because our commitment is to serve our people and provide services close to them and transform their lives, that's why you put in everything that is required to make it a success story, because you know the consequences.
The question I have to ask, Your Excellency, is with regards to housing, there's a demand factor. In a county system, if you see 70% of those who work in the system are locals, they have homes. They don't live very far away from from Kakamega itself. So you're creating municipalities. These are urban areas. What sort of demand will they be for these houses that you're planning to put up? Or have you already factored in, or do you already know the demands that you have for these?
Now, when you look at Kakamega County, it's a very vast county. We are talking about 13 sub-counties. We are talking about 60 wards. So you can be a resident of Kakamega, but you don't operate from home because it's quite vast. For example, when you have somebody from Likuyani that is almost 100 kilometers away from the headquarters, really you cannot operate from home. You have to live within the municipality.
Yeah.
So the demand for housing is huge. Number two, we also have programs within Kakamega where we attract external players. So we want to have the proper infrastructure. The 30% that we are allowed to employ from outside the county, they also require housing. Going forward, we have this level 6 hospital that I'm very committed to make sure that we complete the civil works, and in collaboration with the national government, we have the equipping of the same.
Yeah.
Now, once that facility is completed, we shall employ over 3,000 people. That again is already demand for housing.
Yeah.
Right? Because largely they may not be locals, because you also need to have specialists coming from out. The organic fertilizer that I've talked about, we shall employ almost 1,000 people. Again, we may not necessarily employ locals. So in terms of demand, I can already see demand of over 10,000. So when you give me 10,000 housing units, the demand is already there. It's actually what you call reverse economics, where the supply has actually created demand. Yeah.
I saw the president has pledged 1.2 billion shillings towards the level 6.
He pledged 200 million to facilitate completion. I'm putting in 300 million, which has already been factored in this budget. Then the equipping, he has pledged 1 billion shillings. Of course, we require 3 billion progressively, but we'll be doing it in phases. Yeah, so there's some good progress on that one.
When should we expect this hospital to start being operational?
Holding other factors constant because of sometimes exogenous factors. We expect it in the next financial year to be operational. That is 2024-25.
Okay.
Yeah.
Governor, thank you very much for joining us today.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for sharing the journey that you're walking in Kakamega County. FCPA Fernandez Barasa is the governor of Kakamega County. He's been our guest this morning. More conversations in the next hour with other guests. It's a Health Friday conversation, 9 a.m. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
International. The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio. The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Out of the 17.6 billion shillings budget approved by Kakamega County, 6.1 billion shillings goes to recurrent expenditure. Speaking on Spice FM, County Governor Fernandez Barasa says they are also looking at using most of the funds on their budget for development purposes.
In this budget, one thing that I'm very excited about is we've managed to make sure that we actually maintain the fiscal discipline. Which requires that you allocate at least 30% of your budget on development, because That is what people will see. The impact will come from development. And in the budget that was approved, we have allocated 36%.
Baraza adds that to reduce costs in terms of salaries paid to county staff, which eats up most of the budget, they've decided to outsource some of the county's services.
And one of the ways of dealing with that is, for example, security. You don't need to employ security officers. It's a county. When you outsource that, of course, you will manage a few areas of recurrent because most of the problems associated with staff traveling, ATC, those ones will be outsourced. So you only deal now with the security firm. Cleaning is another area that we outsource to a specific cleaning companies. Again, we have actually progressively started doing that so that we operate within the fiscal framework that has been provided for in the PFM Act.
Trans Nzoia County has joined the counties that have approved their budget for the financial year 2023-2024 by passing a budget worth 9.11 billion shillings. Similar to other counties, the health sector has been allocated the lion's share. Approving the budget, the Speaker of the county, Andrew Anyonyi, said he expects the budget to benefit county residents.
Our budget that we have read is a total of 9,11,216,032 shillings, 3,509,688,740 is development expenditure, while 5,527,292 shillings is recurrent expenditure. Health has the biggest share of the budget of 2,258,562,980.
County governments in Lake Victoria region have been urged to ensure their children go to school. Lake Region Economic Bloc Chief Officer Victor Nyagaya says that they've already come up with strategies that will ensure 100% of children go to school. He has further urged other counties to adopt their plan.
We make those policies and we follow them up for implementation. We would wish that the policies that we put in place to safeguard and provide good care for our early childhood are implemented in the counties, so that apart from the national government policy on children, we also have a working policy in our counties that is spearheaded by LREB as well as the partners.
KMET's Organisation Officer Bella Oworo on her part has urged county governments to embrace the Smart Start Initiatives program, which aims at boosting children's services.
We're implementing a program called Smart Start Initiative, and this particular program is aimed at working with the counties to ensure that they put investments for nurturing care and also improve their systems to be able to have the children at their core implementation within the counties, so that nurturing care is well taken care of across the counties.
Azimio La Umoja Coalition leader Raila Odinga will today be the chief guest of the Luo Cultural Festival. The two-day event, Pini Luo, will take place in Homa Bay County. The host, Governor Gladys Wanga, has revealed that the festival was the epitome of a true Luo during the times of their forefathers. It will involve prayers, a cultural exhibition of traditional artifacts, foods and medicine, sports as well as tourism. The East African Breweries PLC has announced changes to its board of directors. In the changes, John Musunga will come in as a non-executive director effective tomorrow. Musunga is currently CEO and managing director of Guinness Nigeria, a position he has held since October last year. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Yes, you will.
Are you one of you?
Okay, traffic still busy in the city this morning. We're looking at some of it still coming in from the Thika Superhighway, but not too heavy. Just at the Pangani underpass. You're not going to have too much of a headache with that. Kiambu Road is not deciding. Traffic, no traffic. Which one is it going to be? Let's have no traffic. It's fizzling out as you get towards Muthaiga Square. Gong Road is also doing a thing right about now, and Jogo Road also giving off some of it towards Landis. It's heavier on Landis as you get towards the Kamkunji roundabout. We're not going to have to deal with too much this Friday, which is a good thing. Talk to us still on Spice FM, KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Final hour of The Situation Room this financial year. It's the 30th of June 2023. By the way, as we were having a conversation with Governor Fernandez Baraza here, President William Ruto was signing the county allocation of revenue bill and the equalization fund appropriation bill into law. So they are already law. So the man can already start, is good to go. If Professor Ndungu sends money today, he has his share today, and they can already beginning today. Meanwhile, today is the day that KTN Home does the thing, and this is what?
Relaunch.
Okay.
Yeah. Have an opportunity to watch a refreshed view of all your favorite programming, from sports to cartoons, kids programs, your soaps, all your favorites coming home on KTN's relaunch. That is later on today, and we'll see the change as you keep glued to your screens. Welcome home, KTN Home.
We're looking forward to that, eh? Do you know exactly what time are they pressing the button?
There's one man called Mr. Joe Munene that I'll be having a conversation with in a minute, and we'll tell you.
Just pressing the button and then KTN becomes...
Go.
Okay, that's tonight. Also today, if you're going for your monthly shopping or weekly shopping or daily shopping, however, whatever cycle of shopping you normally do, please go to Naivas and buy your toothpaste as Colgate toothpaste. Colgate Palmolive are doing a very big thing in our society. They have looked and seen that there are many children who are not smiling, many people who are not smiling. Why? Because they don't have access to safe drinking water. And lack of access to safe drinking water leads to very many things and challenges in a community, including diseases. Now they're saying, no, let's put a smile on very many children's faces, and 150,000 people are going to benefit from a project that they are running, sinking 30 water wells across various parts of the country. What they say is, walk into Naivas, buy Colgate. Part of that money goes towards this project of building 30 water wells to benefit 150,000 people in the country. It's Friday. We normally have a Health Friday conversation. Today we are having a conversation about eye problems, understanding the causes of eye problems and knowing when to seek help. Professor Dunera Ilako is an ophthalmic surgeon and incumbent CEO at Eagle Eye Laser Center. She's here. Dr. Kahaki Kimani is a senior lecturer, Department of Ophthalmology at the University of Nairobi. City, why are you laughing? So you say it, ophthalmologist.
Ophthalmology.
Eh?
I have my challenges. Ophthalmology isn't one of them. Yes.
Opto?
You think of that sea creature called an octopus.
The ophthalmology. Surely. Dr. Kahaki Kimani, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. Dr. Ilako as well. Karibu sana. You are a surgeon of what?
Ophthalmic surgeon.
Ophthalmic.
Yes. Our sister Ednah had written something else.
Put two
Ophthalmamamamik.
Mama Mick.
Well, that was her understanding of it.
Karibuni sana. CT is an ophthalmic surgeon for proverbs. And he has the day's proverb.
I do.
Not from Papua New Guinea, where his headgear comes from.
Well,
even the shirt, actually. Is
yes, even the shirt.
Papua New, able to remove the jacket, but we need to see this.
Tuzuia
Raha. Toa kwanza, my friend. Our guests must see what you get from your country of Papua New Guinea.
Knows exactly why it has come from Papua New Guinea. She knows the details.
Yeah? She has the details.
Insider information.
She
has leakage.
The professor has leakage.
That's why you put on this shirt today.
But of course.
All right.
Yes.
You'll tell us the story. Now, for those of us who don't know the story, please tell us the story. The shirt?
The shirt is also from Papua New Guinea. I have a sister who is married in Papua New Guinea. She's called Professor Florence Muga Webster. Yes. She and the good professor here shared certain classes when they were in medical school.
Right.
Yes. Now, while they were sharing those difficult courses, I was studying education, something simple and easy on the mind. Yes.
Not those difficult to
Nay, surely. No. Just education theory and simple things that are good for the mind.
Very good.
Yes.
The proverb.
Our proverb for the whole of this week have been from the country of Chad. And this is our final proverb. Where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm.
Where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm. I want to start with you, Dr. Kimani. What's your interpretation of this proverb? You see, Dr. Idaho may have some leakage. These two words you've heard. Dr. Ilako may have. So, what's your interpretation?
I think it is when you have different ideologies coming together. It may initially not be calm, but somehow the two ideologies must find a common ground.
Initially there'll be noise, but the river will now become one.
Yes.
And flow. That's a good one. Dr. Ilako, what's yours?
I think it's more or less the same thing. And also, if you really don't come to an agreement, it's almost like when two elephants fight, the grass is the one that suffers. So you really have to come to a common ground.
Okay. Teacher, how have they fared?
Well, this is one of those examinations where you have no option but to pass. Because we're asking your opinion and we're not going to differ with your opinion. So if we say it was, the range was 1 to 10, you both get 10.
Thank
10
you.
means you've gotten everything right.
Right. Okay. Dr. Kimani, what do you teach at UN?
I teach ophthalmology. That is the specialty field in medicine that deals with the eyes. So I teach all things to do with eyes. But I also practice as an ophthalmologist. And so I also treat various eye problems.
Yeah?
What, Eric?
No, nothing.
And I'm smiling because when she says she does everything to do with the eyes, I'm thinking, you do. That's good. So when they say the eye is the window to the soul, it means you can see the soul.
That is very true, yes. The eyes are the window to the soul and to the body as well. Yes.
So you can actually see the soul?
Yes.
Why?
From the expressions in the eyes, you can tell what is going on in the soul.
Right.
Yeah.
The people talk about various eye problems in this country. Now, of course, I don't even want to ask you to start listing them because you will spend some time here just breaking down one small thing into various eye ailments. But what are the most common eye problems in Kenya?
So the commonest eye problems in Kenya, number one is a problem we call allergy. In any eye clinic, that will be the commonest problem we'll present with. And the other problem is what we call refractive errors. That is the inability to focus well when looking at an object. So those are the two main ones. And then, of course, we have other problems like cataract that impacts negatively on the vision. We have problems like glaucoma when you have high pressures in the eye. We have other problems associated with other diseases in the body like diabetes, which can affect the eye. So those are just some of the few top ones.
Would you say that the most common eye problems in the country are treatable and manageable? Because you mentioned allergy, so I think, okay, quickly you can do something for an allergy. Then you mentioned refractive, so then you can use sight assistance. What would you say that they're manageable?
Yes, in fact, most of the problems in the eye that can lead to loss of vision, about 70% of them, they can be treated or avoided. So you're right. Most of them are treatable or avoidable. Yes.
Okay. I'm looking at a situation where, as time goes, I'm looking at, here in this room, we're wearing glasses, but everybody will say the reason why you're wearing glasses is because you cannot see properly. But it could be different. The reason why you're wearing glasses could be different. And then folks will say, okay, well, over time, we've seen more people having to wear sight assistance in terms of glasses or contact lenses or whatever. Have we seen that there's a progression of some of these refractive issues over time? Has sight regressed in terms of its quality? And are there factors that contribute to this, or is it just how you're made?
That's a very interesting question you ask. And for sure, over time, it has been noted that some of the eye problems have increased in magnitude, and especially like things to do with short-sightedness. It has been shown to be increasing over time, and probably it is because children spend a lot of their time indoors looking at screens, looking at phones, and that can contribute. That has been one of the reasons that has, or one of the theories that has been brought forth as to why problems like short-sightedness are increasing. But also with people demanding better vision because of the nature of maybe the jobs they do, then they cannot tolerate any minimal decrease in vision. And so they will come earlier to the clinic or to hospitals if they have eye problems that are interfering with their vision. But also, as we age, as we grow older, and we are blessed with more years on this earth, then there is the tendency to have more eye problems. And especially like as we get to beyond 40, then you find reading small print starts becoming a challenge. And that's why now many people will start wearing glasses even though they were not wearing glasses before.
Prof, at Eagle Eye Laser Center, now when you hear laser, and this is an ophthalmic surgeon, you just see where this conversation is heading. So what is it that you do at the Eagle Eye Laser Center?
First of all, when you say ophthalmic surgeon, I mean the field of ophthalmology is one of those really, really special fields because it's both medical and surgical. And at Eagle Eye, we are also there. I'm also at the university, but slowly on my way out. And so we work with Dr. Kimani. We treat everything eyes. But what is also special about us at Eagle Eye Laser Center is that we have, I can see you're all wearing glasses here, and many of you would not want to wear glasses. You want to show your beautiful or handsome faces. And therefore, one of the things that we actually do is assist you if you're suitable, and depending on so many factors, we can get rid of your glasses. And getting rid of the glasses is not only cosmetic. There's some diseases that many people have to wear, let's say contact lenses, and they are not cannot tolerate contact lenses. So we are really a refractive center, helping you get your maximum refraction, as she has discussed, good vision, using laser procedures.
Laser procedures, getting rid of my eyeglasses so that my eyes can be seen with greater clarity. Okay.
So that you can see with greater clarity.
As he's building up to this, we've had a conversation with CT before where he's questioned this thing of, look, surgery is surgery. Now you are going to start tinkering with my eye in there using laser. What long-lasting effect is it going to have on me?
What if you tinker? Because I start from the point of surgeries. Most surgeries, a vast majority of surgeries done on the human body are successful. But every once in a while, you hear a horror story. Some spanner was left in someone's belly. Okay?
True.
Well, the spanners they use for operating and so forth, that's what I meant. Okay? Now I'm thinking, that's my stomach, you can remove it. Stomach, large surface area, very many things moving in and about there, most of them stationary. My eyes. Someone coughs. What are you likely to nick in the process of lasering my eye? And when you nick it, what then happens to my vision?
Prof.
Like you say, surgery, or laser, I don't know whether to call it surgery or a procedure, or because when you start saying surgery, you get reactions like this, that I'm going to get a spanner left in. With laser, it's relatively safe, almost 90% safe, only because the instruments that we use, whatever we do and whatever procedures that we do, there's gadgets that are there that we actually use, the laser machines. And if anything is going to go wrong, it will stop. If anything, they feel that it's not focusing or they feel the numbers are wrong, just tells you, it's like, the AI just tells you, no, do not continue. So that gives us a bit of courage to continue and not to continue. And also, like any other procedures, definitely the first thing you come when we're discussing and talking to you, much as 90% or 99% safe, the first thing we'll tell you, the worst thing, you'll go blind. And then we come from there and tell you why you will not go blind. But we cannot, you've opened your eyes so loud.
I'm like, what? Okay.
No, we actually talk you through the whole thing and explain to you why it's good for you, what is good for you, what can happen, what complications can happen.
You see why I raise these issues, is I wear glasses, and every so often I go to my ophthalmologist or optician, and they do this test to determine whether the strength of my glasses need tweaking or whether they are. But what essentially they're telling me is that my eye is either maintaining a certain constant or it has deteriorated. Very rarely have they told me my eye has gotten better. Okay? So now I am thinking, if a laser surgery is performed, what if my eye does the thing it used to do before? Does the laser surgery prevent deterioration? And in the event that it requires a little correction, so more laser?
Actually, you ask a very important question. And one of the things, so before we decide whether you are suitable for laser or not, there are several tests that we do. And also, we will take history from you on how long has it been since you had to change your glasses because you couldn't see well. Many times, actually, for most people, once you get to be an adult, the eyes change very little. And often the reason why you need to change your glasses is either you want a new look, or maybe the lenses you have are a bit scratchy, but it will not have changed by much. And so you'll notice probably the clarity you get from your new glasses is more because the lens is now clearer rather than the number has changed. And so one of the things we have to ensure before we even consider doing laser surgery for somebody is that your eyes are stable. They are not changing any further. But you remember, as I said, as you get to your mid-40s, late 40s, the issues of focusing near objects comes in. And that will not change. Even after we do the laser, when you get to that age, you may still probably need reading glasses.
You know, I've asked this question. What is it about age and nearsightedness and farsightedness? How does age come into this equation? And yet you say the eye doesn't change much. So I'm assuming as I get older, it doesn't change much. And yet then it has changed.
Yes.
I speak as a long-sighted person.
Yes, you're very right. Yes. But for the distance vision, it tends to remain stable. So when I say stable, it is in reference to being able to see far. But when it comes to being able to see near, you see, like for young children, they can really change their eye a lot to focus something that is very near, and then it changes to focus something that is far. And as you grow older, that ability to change that focus decreases, and it reaches a point where the ability is so small that you cannot look far and then come back and read at the same time. You need additional help. Yeah.
And is that because of wear and tear? Is that what we're talking about? What physiological changes are happening in your body that then say, does the quality of sight then deteriorate because of changes, wear and tear as you get older? Is that what happens?
Yes. You see, the lens, there's a lens, if you remember, he's an educationist, so he knows about biology, and there's the lens in the eye. So the lens in the eye is the one that grows throughout life. And then the lens stiffens and hardens. And it's the one that's not able to change its structure in order for you to focus. Unlike in the young, the lens is able to just relax and contract at will. So it's a lens in your eye. You understand that, Mwalimu?
I get that. Yes, so essentially what you're saying is we need to find a way of slowing down or eliminating the aging process.
Yeah, but even now, there's certain, it's not all lost, especially like we said, our center is mainly refractive. So even if your lens in your eye, as you get to cataract age, these days, before you still used to replace the lens in your eye and still wear reading glasses.
Right.
These days, there are special lenses that can now make you act like now be able to focus far and near at the same time.
Your bifocals and your trifocals kind of thing.
Yes, that thing is, you can also now do it for the eye itself. Yes.
Oh, that's so groovy.
Yeah.
So, are refractive issues, can you be born with refractive issues? I ask this because usually you'll see, because I've been wearing glasses since I was 7. And now maybe my vision had been compromised from birth, really didn't know.
Were you born at 7?
I started wearing glasses at 7. Okay. So I remember even being younger that I couldn't really see and I would squint a lot. And so that was what was for my folks, and even my teachers at school would say, okay, well, bring her to the front of the class kind of thing so she could see the board. And then when we went for tests, when they said, okay, maybe the problem here, it's been there for some time. This didn't develop as you grow older. So are refractive issues, can you be born with them, or do they come about with environmental factors influencing your vision, even at that young age? Or is it a case-by-case issue?
Okay. One of the commonest refractive problems is short-sightedness. Yeah. Like you are, I'm
severe
sure you
myopia,
took away your glasses, you can't even get home.
Well, you're going to seeing eye dog. Okay.
So people are born with that. They are already predisposed to short-sightedness. But for most people, it starts showing up in the teenage years. That is when they will start noticing, oh, I cannot see very well what is going on in front. But there are also some cases where children are born with short-sightedness. Okay. Not often, but that can happen. And for such children, as they grow, the short-sightedness becomes more and more. And for quite a number of people, they will not be the only ones who are short-sighted in the family. So there is a genetic component. Yes, there is a familial component when it comes especially to short-sightedness. But there are also other problems of focusing, like long-sightedness. Yes. So you can have children also who are long-sighted, who they can fire, it's not a problem, but when it comes to reading, they have challenges, they get headaches, and they will need glasses for that. But the beauty with that, as they grow older, it tends to get better. So unlike short-sightedness, which becomes worse as the children grow, long-sightedness tends to get better, and eventually some of them may not even need glasses anymore. Then there is also this problem that is always a bit difficult to explain or to describe. We call it astigmatism. Yeah. Where it means that the curvature of your eye is not even. And so they are like, if you look at a straight line, it will tend to look a bit warped or crooked. And for that, it can be corrected with glasses. And usually it may get worse or better over time. But by and large, most eye problems do not get better. Most of them get worse unless addressed. And that's why, especially for children, it's very important to pick out these problems early enough so that their learning is not compromised. Because there are many children, probably they are considered dada heads, and it's just that they don't see well in class. You give them a pair of glasses and they become as good as everybody else.
Let's take a break. 26 minutes to 10. It's Friday. It's a Health Friday conversation. Today we are talking about eyes and when to know when to seek treatment. That's what we'll be discussing shortly. Dr. Kahaki Kimani is a senior lecturer, Department of Ophthalmology at the University of Nairobi, and Professor Ednah Ilako is also a lecturer of ophthalmology, as well as being an ophthalmic surgeon and CEO of the Eagle Eye Laser Center. This conversation continues shortly after we take a look at the weather and traffic and get the business news.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's that time again when we get to gather around and marvel at the great engineering, raw power, finesse, and sharing our round motor love for motoring at the annual Digger Motor Show 2023. From car lovers, bike enthusiasts, spare part dealers, insurance, as well as asset financiers and more, this year's Digger Motor Show will be one for the books. We're talking a whole 4-day event from Thursday 20th to Sunday 23rd at KICC Grounds, Nairobi, where we will have something for everyone, so you better not miss out. Get the family, bring your friends, and share in the joys that will give you lasting memories and an experience you're bound to not forget. For more information or participation, contact Caroline on 0723 803601 or email sinyandiaka@standardmedia.co.ke. Digger Motor Show 2023 is brought to you by Standard Group and Digger Motors and is powered by Spice FM.
.15 cloudy in Nairobi, highs of 20 and lows of 12, and we'll see lows of 13 in a partly sunny Nakuru at 16. It's cloudy at 14 in Nyeri, highs of 20, and we'll see highs of 22 in Eldoret, where it is sunny at 18. 26 and partly sunny in Mombasa, highs of 28. 28 will also be the high in Malindi, where it's partly sunny at 25. It's 23 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 28, and 26 will be the high in a sunny Kakamega at 22. It's mostly cloudy at 23 in Kampala, highs of 26, and Dar es Salaam will see highs of 29. It's sunny at 26, slightly warmer in Johannesburg at now 4 degrees, highs of 15, and it's mostly cloudy in Lagos at 25, seeing cloudy conditions at 22 in Kinshasa. 37 is what it is going into early Friday evening in Beijing, highs of 28 and lows of 26, and it's mostly sunny in Paris at 17 and cloudy in London at 15. 22 and clear Thursday night in New York, coming into Friday, highs of 28 and lows of 19.
When the engine revs, will you be ready to get all that petrolhead enthusiasm at this year's annual Digger Motor Show? Well, you better belt up and make your way to KICC from the 20th to the 23rd of July 2023 for a wholesome 4-day event. Come and join car lovers, bike enthusiasts, spare part dealers, insurance, as well as asset financiers and more for what will be an unforgettable experience by far. We are going all out to make it a great show for you and the whole family with something for everyone, so you better not miss out. For more information or participation, contact Caroline on 0723 803601 or email sinyandiaka@standardmedia.co.ke. Digger Motor Show 2023 is brought to you by Standard Group and Digger Motors and is powered by Spice FM.
Well, this Friday, not too much in terms of traffic right now. Uhuru Highway, you'll see some bits and bobs of traffic as you try to get into the city. It's also whittling down on the Thika Superhighway. You'll just get to the Pangani underpass and you'll find a little bit of traffic there, but you'll get onto Muranga Road without an issue. Kiambu Road also, traffic has fizzled out, so yay. What else is happening here? Southern Bypass looks pretty good for you to get into the city. Whatever is happening on Gong Road also has cleared up. Where are folks going? It is Friday. Petrol prices, okay. People are staying at home. Anyway, we'll wait and see. Spice FM, KE on Twitter, talk to us through the morning.
Business News with Spice FM.
This is the business news. I'm Leah Ubaga. Safaricom has unveiled a new payment option allowing its millions of customers to pay for goods and services using their internet data balances as it moves to reduce related liabilities. Dubbed Lipana Data, the service allows users with 5 GB and above of data balance to make payments at shopping outlets via paybill or till numbers by dialing *544*34#. The provision is accessible to both Safaricom postpaid customers with a data balance of 5 GB and above, as well as to prepaid customers with no expiry bundles above 5 GB. UK-based farm CFP UK Holdings Limited will pay 14.5 billion shillings to acquire a stake in Lake Turkana Wind Power Limited, which built the 95.2 billion shillings wind farm through debt and equity. Transaction advisors who participated in crafting the deal say the amount would be settled soon following the Competition Authority of Kenya clearance of the England and Wales Incorporated Farm to acquire a 31.25% stake in the wind power project. That's the business. I'm Leah Ubaga.
Spice FM Business. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Continues its Health Friday conversation. Today we're talking about eye and eye problems. Professor Ednah from the Eagle Eye Laser Center, and also Dr. Kahaiki Kimani, who's a lecturer at the University of Nairobi. Dr. How many ophthalmologists do we have in the country? And I'm asking this because of the next question, which is, when people have challenges with eyes across the country, how easy is it for them to get help?
Unfortunately, we do not have the number of ophthalmologists that we would desire as a country, because currently I think probably we have about 150 ophthalmologists.
Wow.
Across the country. And that 150, it's even made more insufficient because most of them are in the cities. Yeah, probably like 60-70% of those 150 are in the cities, which leaves the rural areas very underserved. And so we still have a gap there. But fortunately, there are other cadres in the field of eye care that can still take care of basic eye problems. You have the clinical ophthalmic officers, you have the ophthalmic nurses, you have the optometrists, the opticians, and those ones help to fill the gap. Yeah, but still, access to eye care is not as good as we'd want it to be as a country. But suffice to say, if there is a need, then somehow that need can still be met with what is currently available. Yeah.
So when somebody has an eye problem, let's even talk about children. So a parent notices that a child may be having an issue with vision. They will go to the nearest health facility to them. Now, are the people that they're going to find there sufficiently equipped to be able to, one, just decipher what's happening and know the protocols to deploy, whether it's referral and all?
That's a very important question, because actually as a country, the backbone of our healthcare is in what we call the primary healthcare. The grassroots care that a mother will find when she takes her baby to the clinic. And a lot of effort has been made to include primary eye care into primary health care, although this has still not worked as good as it should. In fact, like when a baby is being taken for immunization, in that booklet, there is a page that explains to the nurse who is immunizing the child what they should look out for. And there are two big things that one should look out for in a baby. Number one is the pupil black, the center of the eye. There is what we call the pupil, and it's supposed to be black. If that pupil is not black, there is a problem. And especially if you see the pupil is white, it could either mean that the child has a cataract, because babies can also be born with cataract, or it could even be a bigger problem like an eye cancer.
Sorry, just clarify, because there might be folks out here who are not getting. So there's your eye where you see the eye color.
Yes.
But then there's the little black dot in there.
In the center.
That's what we're saying is the pupil.
That
exactly.
That needs to be black.
Yes, that needs to be black.
Okay.
And if it's not black, there is a problem.
Okay.
Number two, are the two eyes looking straight? If the two eyes are not looking straight and one eye is either looking outwards or inwards, there is a problem. And if those two problems can be picked out early in a baby, then a lot can be done to save the vision of the baby and even to save the life of the baby. Then as the children grow older as they start going to school, one of the things that the teacher should always look out for is the child struggling either to see the blackboard or to write on the book or to read. If such a problem is noticed and picked early, then it can be addressed.
What would be a problem of discoloration of the pupil? What would that indicate?
When the pupil is not black.
Yes.
Number one, as I said, one of the biggest concerns that we have is that it could be cancer. Okay? And that is a cancer that can be treated and save the life of the child if it's picked early. And sometimes even save the eye of the child. Number two, it could also be a cataract. When the lens in the eye, instead of being clear, it becomes cloudy or white. And that can also be addressed by surgery and restore vision in the eye of such a child. You see, for children, time is of essence because when babies are born, their centers for vision are not fully developed and they need stimulation through vision to develop. If this stimulation is interfered with, then later on in life, even if the problem was addressed, that suppression that occurred in the brain cannot be reversed. And so you end up with an eye that looks normal, but it can't see because it had a problem that was not addressed in childhood. Yeah.
So are the health professionals at that grassroots level then being trained on these things? Because you've said, we want to get to a level where we are using primary health care and primary eye care going in tandem.
Yes.
That would mean, because clearly we're not going to have all these ophthalmologists at the grassroots level, that the primary healthcare person is well equipped with the knowledge to detect this.
Okay, in the training curriculum of most of the primary healthcare workers, primary eye care is included, but it just touches. It doesn't go into detail. And so probably what is required is refresher courses, constant refresher courses to keep reminding these primary healthcare workers on what to look out for, and not just in children, but even in
across all ages.
Across all ages, including the elderly, where the eye problems are more. You find that eye problems that affect vision are much more common in older people than in the younger people.
You know, one hears of specializations in the healthcare space. One knows of doctors and their specialization, the disciplines they belong to. But the other, I wouldn't call it supporting, but other professionals, the nurses, the clinical officers, and we hear of specializations. Even within them, like you hear an ICU nurse, that's a specialization. A dental, something or the other. In ophthalmology, do you have such specializations within these other cadres of the health profession?
Maybe Professor will answer that.
Yes, to a certain extent right now what they do, especially the ophthalmic clinical officers. So the ophthalmic clinical officers are first and foremost clinical officers. Then they come back and train as eye specialists. Now within that eye specialists, some of them become cataract surgeons. So they specialize just as cataract surgeons. Some of them become low vision specialists. And their last one is probably, what's the other one that they do? No, I think those are the main things. Cataract surgeon, general ophthalmic clinical officers, then cataract surgeons, and then low vision therapists, and then maybe refractive surgeons. But that's the main thing that they do.
But among the cadres of the nursing,
no.
Health specialists, no.
No, those ones are just general. They're general ophthalmic nurses.
Should it not be more specialized? Because you get nurses in larger numbers. When you look at the various levels of healthcare services that we provide than we do clinical officers and medical doctors?
No, I think the basic things really, because you also want to fill this gap that is there, you need ophthalmic nurses that know how to diagnose and refer. It's very difficult for you to have people to be all cataract surgeons, because the equipment that's involved, the specialization that's involved, the training that's involved is pretty expensive. So you need people that are able to really pick up early diagnosis of most of these things, and if they're referred appropriately, then that would be fine. Already in the eye, we have so many generalized, not general ophthalmologists, even special ophthalmologists. You have pediatric ophthalmologists, retina specialists, cornea specialists. Then again, when you over subspecialize, then the general majority of the Kenyans still suffer.
Okay.
So you really need that.
If you move these cases up the ladder, at what level of hospital categorizations will you find an ophthalmologist? Or are you supposed to, in theory? Because the reality may be different.
In theory, every sub-county should have an ophthalmologist, in theory. You need one ophthalmologist per 250,000 population. We are only 150 or so for 50 million. How many is that?
And we need one for every 250?
Yes.
What do we have currently?
Now you calculate. We told you we are 150.
We're only 150.
We are 150. And then out of that 150 of the 50 million, out of these 70 of us are in Nairobi and Mombasa.
So it's wholly inadequate.
Very.
You see where I'm going with this? I'm looking at, you talk about primary health care. Essentially, that's where the preventative stuff takes place. And that's where you're able to prevent all these things. More so in children, if you can identify the problems early.
Yes.
Now, sometimes you can't escalate it to a level 5 or 6 hospital or even level 4. Now, where it can be managed, where it can be diagnosed and where it can be managed is at that village level. Okay? And this is why you see me focusing on the depth and the length of training that these individuals go to. But then there's this connectivity between, one, the health facilities and the school. I will always go back to the school. Because this is where now children begin to interact with each other and they're together in larger numbers. Do you have, because I know you have an association of eye specialists, eye people like yourselves, do you have a program or a plan where you work with schools and learning institutions so that focus specifically primary, nursery school level, people get whatever it is, sensitization talk, so that some of these things, when these issues we're discussing, which can follow on into adulthood with adulthood type problems, are identified early and addressed?
That is a very critical issue that you raise. And we used to have what used to be known as school screening programs, where like an item based in a certain area, they would cover the schools within that area or within that zone. So they would go to the school and even train the teachers to just look out for children who have vision problems, just by asking them to read a chart from a certain distance, and any child who can't read up to this level, then that child will be referred to the eye center for further assessment to see do they need glasses. But this also required funding. You need transport to go to these places, and probably many years ago, unfortunately, the eye care program had been left to the non-governmental organizations. And then we realized it's very important that government also takes responsibility. This should be truly their work. And so over time, a lot of the non-governmental organizations have veered off from this basic eye care. And there is that gap now. So the school screening programs are not running as well as probably they used to run in the past. But this would be a very critical way of meeting this gap.
Okay.
Yeah.
What advocacy work does your association do to ensure that you corral, push, intimidate the government into understanding and carrying out this role?
I think we're doing a lot. It may not show we're small, the eyes are small, but in terms through the society and through our head of ophthalmology in the government, who is a very keen person and also a good he really contributes. Every time we have any problems, like right now, we've been having problems with eye drops that make children blind. I won't go into the details, but he's taken that up as a society and really tried to push that some of these things go forward. So in that society, we always have weekly, monthly CMEs, bring up our issues and our problems, and then they escalated forward. Slow but sure. It's very, very difficult, but slowly we hope we'll get somewhere. We've just tried to strengthen that society.
And also maybe just to add on, you see as eye care, we are competing with things like malaria, maternal child health programs, maternal mortality, and
non-communicables.
Yes, yeah. So we as a society, we really try to advocate and push the agenda for eye care, so that even as resources are being allocated, we are not left out. We may be allocated meager resources, but at least we will try and do the best we can with those resources.
You're a true Kenyan.
Understanding the situation.
Understand the situation.
And working and conforming.
And perhaps kicking the can down the road a little bit. and ring fencing also at the same time. And it's good.
Sorry, there's just one eye disease that probably we should also talk about briefly. Remember we said one of the commonest causes of eye issues is allergy.
Yes.
And with allergy comes problems. People really rub the eyes so much. So when you rub the eyes, the cornea gets affected. Okay? And when the cornea gets affected, you get a certain disease called keratoconus. So now some of these individuals start to experience reduced vision around the age of 14 and really gets worse towards maybe 19 thereabouts. So these are the people that we need to also catch early, because before, the only option after the cornea is the clear part, the glass of the eye. The only option was for them to have a corneal graft or corneal transplant.
Wow.
So these days, at least, it's been brought around in Kenya. There's certain procedures that you do to stop that growth. And that's something that people must be aware of, because it's quite a big problem in our country
don't rub
right
your
now.
eyes.
A very big problem, yeah.
Do not rub your eyes.
Yeah, can you tell your child to do not rub your eye and it's itching? Or even you, if I tell you
it's
that,
hard. It's a difficult
scratching.
thing.
It's hard. It's hard, but it's possible.
We've got to do it. Dr. thank you very much for joining us. Professor Ednah Ilako is an ophthalmic surgeon and incumbent CEO at Eagle Eye Laser Center, and Dr. Kahaki Kimani, senior lecturer at the Department of Ophthalmology at the University of Nairobi. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining us and for sharing